Okay. Time for me to remove that from the screen. Hi. I'm also going to stop sharing that. Hey, hey everybody. How's it going? What is happening over here? Okay. This, I'm going to move you over here for the time being. Hi, Utma Utma. Hi, Anne. How are you guys doing? Okay. Yes. Just so I checked the sound before I started, but I just want to make sure everything's okay. So can you guys hear me well? Because I don't want another episode of you guys not being able to hear me. Yes. Good here. Just doing some stuff around the house. Yay. Audio is good. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna be right back. Eh, I need to grab something really quick. Okay. Right back. um, so today, accompanying me, we have not Killua, which is my little kitty, but we have Nova. Nova is one of my 100 gazillion billion teddy bears. And I got her from some event of just like crafters and people selling their own stuff. And she was knitted. Can you guys see? I just thought it was so freaking cute. There was also an elephant that I thought was beautiful and a cow, and I couldn't decide between the elephant and this. And so my husband was like, just get them both. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And then I saw the cow and I was like, oh, but this cow. I was like, no, I need to pick between these three. So I'll pick two out of the three. And he was like, then just also get the cow. And I was like, really? And I promise I wasn't doing it on purpose. Like, oh, let me just see, how much he'll get. I didn't anticipate him like getting anything. And if he did, only one because we had already been to like other vendors as well. So he said it's so stinking cute. I know, right? I was just like, these are so cute. Next time I'll show you guys the elephant and the cow. I'm trying to remember the elephant's name, but the cow, his name is Atlas. Why? I don't know. Anyway, this is Nova. So, yeah, I have decided that from now on, whenever I do live sessions, because I saw Udma was like, hello, like anybody here? Hi, Cookielicious. I have decided that whenever I go live, I'm actually just going to go ahead and start the live 15 minutes in advance and have like a waiting screen or something just to give people plenty of time to be notified and then come in. Um, since I'm not scheduling the lives anymore, since YouTube likes to, I don't know, be weird with me. So that's what we're doing here. And that's why there was that little wait screen that was like, we start in 15 minutes. But yeah, um, man, I'm also still just gonna ramble and talk to you guys just for a little bit before we officially get started, still to give people plenty of time. Um, but yesterday, and by we, I mean my head disciples on Patreon, we did a live reading of Riverbay Road Volume 2. We've already started. And technically, there was supposed to be a video released today on YouTube, but I went ahead and put it for tomorrow since we're doing the live. I was like, feel like that wouldn't really make sense, So I left it alone. But anyway, that was really fun. You guys, book 2 is it's a little bit heavier. Not even gonna lie. I was like, "Oh, okay. We just dipped right into depression and anxiety really quickly here." Wasn't expecting it. So I'm super excited for when you YouTubers get to it. I think you'll really like it. But mm, I slept for 5 hours. So that was fun. Hi, NFS. It's so nice to see you. You said not reading this one with y'all, but here for general Danme chaos while I write. Yes, it is also extremely funny. Uh, we were rolling yesterday. But yes, it's so I'm glad that you're still here and you're being productive while joining in with us. And plus, you just get to hear about it, even though you're not reading it, which I think it's pretty much a general consensus that the majority of the people on my channels prefer things that are sent in ancient China, not necessarily modern times. And I have to agree. But I don't regret reading this. It's good thus far. So, it's given us something. So, yeah, I just want to know how you guys are doing before we get started. I think I'll probably ramble for about 4 more minutes and then we'll officially get started. But I have both of the books here with me. So, even though we've started reading it on Patreon already, I'm going to read the summary for you guys here and show pictures if we need to. I think we might need to show pictures. So anyway, and then I've got Twin Tien waiting diligently for me. So um I've gathered my notes on this. They're not as extensive as you was, although I kind of feel like this doesn't necessarily need as much intense note taking as Yuwu does. Also, taking all of those notes very much exhausted me. So for 7 volumes straight. So I'm gonna have to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do when it comes to taking notes. Because I like take all the notes, go through them, make sure they're cleaned up. I also have Chat GPT help me to organize everything because I just blurt everything out onto my notes, and it's pretty chaotic. And yes, I know that there are a lot of people that are against Chat GPT and generative AI and stuff like that. We're not having that discussion. It helps me put my notes together, so we're sticking with that. If you want us to do these videos, then I am going to use it. So you said Twin Tien cameo, yes, and Twin Tien still doesn't have its sleek black thing on, but it's somewhere here. I think it's in the kitchen. But yeah, because I'm like, oh man, next we're reading Ballad of Sword and Wine, and that is 8 books. There's gonna be a lot of note taking, and I've just got to figure out how I'm gonna put all of it together. you know, you need the themed Danmei sakis too. So I've been thinking about buying it for this. I just have to figure out where to get it and make sure I have this specific size. Like I don't want to buy something and it turns out not to fit or anything. Um, Either that or I'll just put a bunch of stickers on it. You never know. You said, "Wow, my fingers today." But yes, dress up the whale. Yes, I will dress up my whale. So um, yeah, I've been having a good weekend thus far. Yesterday, I was watching Hunter x Hunter, but then I also took time to watch the new episode of My Hero Academia. I'm not even gonna lie, I was like squealing. I was like, "Ah!" It was awful. It was so awful. I mean, it was good, but it was awful. You said, haha, MHA. Yeah, I like because TikTok is the worst place to go when you watch anime because everybody spoils everything. So there was something that I already anticipated happening because everybody that's read the manga has already talked about it on TikTok, but it still did not prepare me for when I watched the episode. I was like, like I could not breathe. I was like, "Oh my god, this is awful." So anyway, yeah, I did that. I'm still procrastinating on this fan fiction that I'm supposed to be reading. but we're gonna get to it. So anyway, I have rambled for maybe not actually 10 minutes, but it is now 10:10. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Um, just in case you are not aware of what we are doing today, which you should be, we are doing a live discussion of Riverbay Road Volume 1 only, okay? And it's not going to be as breakdowny. Is that a word? Breakdowny? It's a word today. Not going to be as breakdowny as Remnants of Filth was because I feel like Remnants of Filth really needed that breakdown. Whereas this is going to be still going into some things, but a little less strenuous. I don't know. So I have my notes here on the side, and I am just going to go ahead and get started. So, Riverbay Road Men's Dormitory by Fei Tian Yexiang, also known as Arise Zhang. Why there's that nickname, I actually have no idea. I did not look it up, and I'm probably not going to look it up. But anyway, if I had to give, I don't know, like a 3 sentence summary for this first volume, it would be Zhang Yuan, a well known film director, decided to change career paths. And he wants to be what? A writer. Okay, that's fine. The only problem is he sucks at writing, which NFS is doing right now. So, what does he do as a solution? He decides to rent out his expensive and lavishly beautiful home to 4 gay men to observe them and hopefully gain inspiration for his writing. So they are his little guinea pigs, his little test subjects, and he wants to use them as inspiration. That is the summary for NFS. And for anyone else who may not be reading it, but decides to come and watch this video, it's quite funny. You say you're too poor to write clearly, can't troubleshoot rich. Yeah. So that's the summary. So we're going to go ahead and get straight into the character profiles. I figured we would start with that because I know that there were several people that were like, oh my gosh, all these names are going to kill me because they're consistently being mentioned back and forth, which I have to say, though, is still not that bad when you think about other series like Mo Dao Zushi or literally any ancient Chinese danmei, where they not only have their name, but their title and their courtesy name and their weapons have names. You know? It's like 3 names for one person. Hold up. Whereas these people, they just have one name and we're sticking to that name. Like, so it's good. But we're gonna go over their names and how to pronounce them, not necessarily the tones and everything, just how to pronounce them, because I know that was a bit of a struggle for a lot of people. So obviously, we are starting with Zhang Yuan, the main character, the MC. So we have Zhang Yuan, you can say, or if you want to try to pronounce the U correctly, it's going to be you. So if you go like yi and then try to make the U sound, yi. So keep the E sound in your U, and you've got Zhang Yuan. This guy is 27 years old. His relationship status for a very long time is single. Okay. Also, very importantly, NFS, I know you're not reading, but very importantly, he's a top. It's important to know what position all of the guys are in this story, if they are a top or a bottom. So, because he's only renting his place out to gay people, and he just wants to know as well, like, are you a top or are you a bottom? So there was that. So even though he's a top, he wants to bottom at least once because he had promised his previous boyfriend that he was going to, but they never actually got to that point. You said, yes, that's so confusing. We're going to talk about that. There are a couple of important things that I feel we need to talk about concerning certain things around sexuality and stereotypes and all those things. We'll get to that. We got to do the character profile first. So, like I said, he's a top, but he wants to bottom at least once. His parentage is Well, he was abandoned by his parents because his parents suck. His father left first, and then his mother couldn't take it anymore and went to go be with him. So he was left to live with his grandparents. And he basically saw them as his parents. And even at 16, he was like, I want to change my surname to you guys's. And they were touched by that. So that's why he was given this beautiful home, this number 7 Riverbay Road. And there are 6 bedrooms, I believe, because there are the 4 for the guys he's letting stay there. One he's staying in, which was his grandparents' place, room. He doesn't let anyone go in there. And then the one that he's staying in. So this is a pretty big home, okay? And it's in a very nice neighborhood, all that stuff. Anyway, his education, he majored in directing and he was in film and production for a very long time. He has a very well-known name. He's renowned. He's respected, right? But he decided to switch to writing, which he is a novice at. And the director of the publishing company he's working with is basically telling him, like, the things you're writing, they're just very unrelatable. They're also very boring. You seem like you're someone sitting on high observing people rather than knowing the actual experiences of people. So that's his problem. Um, Kink, outdoor sex. This is also something that I decided to put on the profile because they had a whole discussion about it in some later chapters. But yes, he likes to have sex outdoors and in risky places where they could get caught, but he doesn't want to get caught. He's not very exhibitionalist type person. So anyway, his appearance is tall, fit, and handsome. His personality is one of a level headed, kind, and considerate individual. He really likes to help others. And honestly, this shows very early on. One of the things that was mentioned in this volume when he was doing film directing is he gave money to upstarters, if you will. That's probably the wrong word. To people who were just starting out in the industry and they sold him their dreams. And a lot of those investments, they didn't go well, but a few of them did. But he just has a really, really kind heart and wants to help people. Even with him renting out this extremely beautiful, lavish Riverbay Road, the rent he's charging is extremely low, very low. So it's for people who like in our day and age in America, a one bedroom apartment where I live can literally be $1,700, or I'll say $1,700. So if I were to convert what he's charging people here in America, I would say he's charging like $600 rent. Like that's how that's how good of a price he's charging. So he's really helping people. Um Anyway, going on, his gay awakening, if you will, happened in the 3rd year of middle school. He has a best friend whose name is Liang Jung. We actually don't get a lot of him, but he is his childhood friend of 20 years. He's straight and married, and he'll be the one to pretend that he's the owner of Riverbay Road if his tenants get suspicious. Suspicious of what? His real identity. Because what is he doing? Pretending to be a regular, degular guy. He is not letting anyone know that he is a renowned film director. Instead, he is a proofreader at a publishing company. We'll see how long that lasts. So, anyway, we get to page 12. And this is where I actually want to talk about something very important, specific. Okay, so on page 12, it says, the absence of his father when he was growing up left him with a sense of insecurity. And the way his parents had interacted made him instinctively keep his distance from heterosexual relationships. So, the reason that I wanted to talk about this, and I just want to go ahead and put a disclaimer out here immediately that everything I say, it's not about what I believe is true in this world about homosexuality. This is not what I believe to be true about gender identity or any of that kind of stuff. I am only relating everything to this book. And I am just putting things out there as a theory or even as a question. I am never stating anything as a fact. I don't want to offend anybody. So if I do say something offensive, please let me know what it is. And if I reflect on it, I will, and I think that what I said was wrong, then I will apologize. But I just want to put that disclaimer out there that everything I'm saying is in relation to the book, not into the real world, even if I do ask questions about things that possibly happen in the real world. So, anyway, now that I've said that disclaimer, going back to the comment, basically, the way the relationship of his parents was very chaotic and it was very, very toxic. And his mother and father, they didn't have a healthy, stable relationship. And this book is saying that after seeing how they interacted, that is what made him stay away from heterosexual relationships. And so in this moment, I felt like Fei Tian Yexiang was implying that um the dynamic of his parents is what repulsed him from straight relationships rather than it just being what his like him being gay was always his sexual preference, but the influence of the his mother and father is what helped to shape his point of view, which is something that, I can't say is real or not because I've never had an experience of, I don't know, I just never had a thought about it before. But what I can say is that as children, number one, we are still learning, we're still growing in the world, and we are impressionable. So it is possible that he truly, really was influenced by seeing this dynamic before him. Like, I don't know if I want to do these types of relationships. But then there's also the other thing of his grandparents, where there was his grandmother and grandfather. That was a straight relationship and that was healthy. So that's why I say, it's just, I feel like the author is implying it, but it's still up in the air because he got to see a healthy relationship for the majority of his life. But I just thought that was something interesting that was presented by Fei Tian Yang. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that. Especially for anyone who is in the LGBT community. I always feel like I'm mixing up the letters. Anyway, but I don't know. Like, could you guys tell me if you always knew, or if there was a point in time that you eventually figured out, or if maybe the observations of things that you saw in your life are what shifted you in a certain direction? Because even I hear stories about people who, have dated the opposite sex their whole lives. They've liked the opposite sex their whole lives, have never looked at the same sex. And then, I don't know, like one lady I know, she's in her 40s now, somewhere in her late 30s, now she's married to a woman. But that was never something that happened before. So it's just always curious to me. I'm going to look at the comments. You said, I don't know. I know I am all relationship averse. Oh no, because of some issues. Understood. Understood. Hey, you don't have to be in a relationship. I knew someone growing up who was never in a relationship. She was just this older lady and she had no interest in romance at all. She just wanted to focus on her calling in life. Anyway, so continuing on Jong Yuan's profile, speaking of dating, we're going to talk about his dating history. So he fell in love with his junior at 22 years old. They moved in. Yay! Not really. Jang Yuan was way too busy. And so the only way he could show affection was through money. And eventually, that boyfriend left him for another guy who seemed richer. Seemed is the key. But indeed, he was not that much richer at all. He was actually leaving behind someone much better as far as the finance department. Nevertheless, we can move on. His taste in partners. He wants them tall, thin, a bottom, or a versatile person. They need to be mature. And the way that it was put here is they either can be gentle, caring, and understanding bottom, or a steadfast, optimistic, and assertive top. He also prefers someone with the zodiac sign of a Cancer. Okay. I was like, this is a lot going on. He's just got this very set way of thinking about everything. And again, we are going to talk about it. We're getting there. So on page 204, which again, I'm not necessarily going in order, but I feel like we don't need to. On page 204, before we move on to the next character, nope. Yes. One thing that was mentioned since we're talking about his taste is he realized that his taste, the people that he liked, shared some similarities with his maternal grandparents. And so, really quickly, I just wanted to let you guys know that psychologically speaking, um, the majority of the time, we actually do pick romantic partners who remind us of our parents or guardians. Might sound crazy, but that is actually something we subconsciously do, even if we don't realize it. And of course, the people that we pick, they are going to have certain traits from their parents as well. So there are going to be some differences, of course. But you are naturally, instinctively going to pick someone who is like your parents. And even if you, for example, grew up like me with an emotionally and verbally abusive parent. No, my husband is not emotionally and verbally abusive. However, there are still certain traits about him that remind me of my mother, usually the good ones. I mean, sometimes he's a little insensitive, but I mean, that has nothing to do with him being abusive. That has everything to do with him and just his weird communication and everything. So that is something that I thought was very interesting. You said whether I'm fine being single because I'm ace though. Oh, okay. I think I remember you saying that. Um, Society, you might find it easier or the other way, complex. I don't know. So now we're completely done with the main character, and I think I spent the most time talking about him, but we will move on to Yenjun, which is the very first person he interviewed to move into Riverbay Road. Instant attraction to Jang Yuen. I'm gonna tell you every person that had instant attraction to Jang Yuen, our main character. Anyway, Yeonjun is 29 years old. He is also single. He is also a top. And he had a mother, a brother, and a sister in law. His mother has cataracts. She can't see very well. She's living somewhere far off or whatever. And he is taking care of her. And it's easy for him to fool his mother into thinking that he is his elder brother. Now, you might be thinking, why does he need to fool his mother? Because his elder brother and his sister-in-law passed away in a wreck. And they also had a baby, which he took on to take care of as his own. So it's his niece. So I have some very concerning things about this when I read it. Number one, how is it that he is able to fool his mother? I guess she has the cataracts or whatever. But to me, that was very alarming because it's like, ma'am, you have a whole nother son as well. Like Yenjun himself is your son. So why is it or is he playing both? But it didn't mention that. It just said that he was playing his brother basically. So that was a little concerning. But yes, we have this man who is forced into fatherhood, if you will. He wasn't really forced. He didn't want his niece, her name is Xiaoqi, he didn't want her to go into the system. So he is taking care of her, and it's very, very difficult. As far as his education is concerned, he doesn't have any. His interest and career, he works in sales at this place called the Jiaoling Tower, and he does equipment sales. But he's probably not that good at it because he's an honest person. And in sales, you know, honesty is not necessarily going to be what truly gets you on the up and up. Anyway, covering his kinks, he wants a bottom wifey, if you will. So I think Chun Hong put it best when they had this conversation that he wants a wife, but in the form of a man, basically. Like he wants to come home to this man cooking naked in an apron. That is his kink. It is what it is. You know, everybody has their kink. We're not shaming, we're not kink shaming. Anyway, his appearance is tall, fit, handsome, and he has the most tanned skin out of everyone. Um, I'm gonna show you all here. Although I feel like no, it might be better if I. grab the second book actually. So this is Yenjun. And as you can see, his skin is more tanned than everybody else. So anyway, um, not that that's a problem. Like it's not mentioned as a problem anywhere throughout this story, just so you guys know. But his personality is quiet, reserved. He's very perceptive, observant, and honest. Although he didn't necessarily start with honesty when it came to Zhang Yuan, he had mentioned that he was taking care of Xiao Qi sometimes, that he would watch her sometimes, but not that he was taking care of her. And so he tried to like maneuver in this way that it looked like he was just picking her up from daycare and chilling with her, and then he'd take her home to her parents. That did not last very long. Xiaoqi ran a fever one of those nights, and the whole truth was uncovered. And Zhang Yuan, as I mentioned, he's a very kind and considerate person. He was understanding. He didn't tell him he had to move out or anything like that. So we move on. Um, what did I say? Oh, his struggles. His main struggle. So Zhang Yuan's struggle, I mentioned he's a writer, but he's a novice, so he sucks. Yan Yuan's struggle, aside from money issues, from having to take care of a child, is his sense of self, his sense of identity outside of being a father, which can be very hard when you're trying to do this all on your own and you don't have much help. But fortunately, one of the things that we do get to see in this series is all the other people help as much as they can. So his whole journey is about finding his sense of self. Now, moving to his taste in partner, again, going back to his struggle of identity and self, they must fully accept Xiaoqi and be willing to love and take care of her. That was the first thing. But also, they have to be mature. They have to like to read. They need to be fair and handsome, have a sensitive body for sex purposes. He would prefer if they have a white collar job and they don't work too much because he wants to be the one to provide for them. And he also doesn't want it to be a woman. So he could be with a woman, but he doesn't want to be with a woman because he doesn't want the potential of having another child and having to split up his love between himself, between Xiaoqi and that child. I was like, okay. I'm actually for that. I feel that. And then he also wants them to be not too muscular, gentle, resilient, intelligent, and creative. That is Yenjuan. Then we move on to Zheng Guizi, who also had an instant attraction to Zhang Yuan because everybody has an instant attraction to this man. He is the youngest one here. He is 22, single. He proclaimed that he was a top, but it's very clear immediately that this guy is a bottom. Anyway, his education doesn't have any, but he lied about it and said that he did. His interests and his career, he wants to be a house bottom, basically. He wants to be taken care of. He wants to be what Yanjuan wants, I suppose, as a kink or whatever. But he just wants to be taken care of. Now, you said, why does this feel like dating Cluedo, dating Sim? LOL. I, so I don't this reading this was kind of cringe, but at the same time not cringe. Eh, I don't know. It's just so weird. I was like, this is odd, but I'm gonna keep reading because I feel like it's worth it, and I do think it's worth it overall. And we'll talk more about it in a little bit. But so like I said, he wants to be taken care of. He wants to be pampered. He doesn't want to live a hard life and have to do hard work, which I totally feel. I want to be taken care of and pampered and not have to work hard. And you know what? After the years my husband and I have spent together struggling and working multiple jobs and, pawning things off to take care of our rent and stuff like that, we are now in a place where I am being taken care of. And all the money that I get can go to whatever I want it to. So I feel it. I totally feel it. You said it has something over a guardian, apparently. It does. It does. I wasn't feeling guardian. And I honestly, in some ways, wasn't feeling this, but there would be certain things that Fei Tian Xiang said that would encourage me to keep going. So, and wanting to be taken care of is legit on all fronts. Absolutely. That's why I have no problem with him wanting to be taken care of. My only issue with him is when it comes to his preferences and what he wants in a partner. Like, they're just very shallow, very narrow minded. And because he's so set on that goal, I feel that it just isn't setting him up for success. Like, yes, you want to be taken care of. That's perfectly fine. But with that being said, he's like, well, they have to be this handsome. They have to have a 6-inch penis. They have to be rich. Like, they can't be poor or struggling or middle class. And it's like, so yes, you can find someone who's just rich right off the bat and go for it. But sometimes the person that you can be with or would be great with doesn't necessarily start off rich. They don't have to start off poor. Maybe they start off middle class and then they work their way up and then they blossom and have this amazing career. You never know. And so, again, there's nothing wrong with his shallow view, but I just don't like it for me personally, you know? So, to wait, what a way to disqualify yourself from what you want. Yeah. It's like you're 22 years old, and unless you're willing to date someone who wants, like, you want to be your sugar daddy essentially. If you want to date someone in your age range you're 22, you're going to need to loosen up a little bit and find someone who is not rich. Maybe they can't fully take care of you yet, but someone where you can see promise. I'm not saying you got to stoop low, but like, don't shoot so high. You're 22. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely, Anne. They could definitely have the potential to, yes, yeah, disqualified from being treated well and respected. Yeah. So that's him. But so his career right now, or his job, he's a live streamer. This is a very difficult thing, especially when we get to volume 2. Oh my gosh, when y'all see. So one of his live streams, he's just a live streamer. And on his other live stream, he has two. He pretends to be a woman. His live streaming isn't very lucrative. However, his one where he pretends to be a woman is more lucrative. Before he was doing this, he was working at a mall job, and he had a coworker that he was living with, you know, and this coworker was straight. That was what he was doing before. And what did he do? He said, "Oh no, not the catfish." Yeah. Yeah, this becomes a problem, not even gonna lie. So for him, he lived with his straight coworker, colleague, and he fell in love with this straight colleague. And so he did everything he could to hopefully woo him and make this straight man fall in love with him. And what happened? This straight man was totally mean to him, totally rude to him, but also still didn't necessarily push him away entirely because he liked the things that Jong Wen was doing for him. And he immediately went out and got him a girlfriend and threw it in Jung Waits' face, and even had the girlfriend move in. So 5 days after all of that, Jung Waits was like, yeah, I need to find somewhere else to live because this is awful. You're treating me awful, and I'm finding you less and less attractive, which I was at least happy to hear that he wasn't going to stay for that. And that's how he ended up coming across Jang Yuen's number 7 Riverbay Road. So there's that. I would say that going to his kinks, he likes being cursed at and slapped as well as being choked. Cool. His appearance, which play a huge part in how he feels about himself, is average good looks. And Jang Wen specifically described him as his style as a celebrity bottom. Jung Waita sees himself as average good looks. No one else has said that he has average good looks. And with his personality, yes, masochist, more or less, his personality is awkward. He has low social awareness. Actually, overall, he just has a low emotional intelligence overall. Yeah. He's a hopeless romantic. He's naive and he knows how he should be treated, but at the same time, we see that he will allow himself to be treated less than what he knows how he should be treated and how he truly wants to be treated. And if it says, we do not judge in this household, but my dude, you okay? No, he's not okay. So Jung Waita was bullied a lot when he was growing up. Um, which I think is very important for us to know because that same treatment that he got as a child, he's basically getting as an adult. He got it from this straight colleague. And honestly, on the last day when he was moving out, I feel like his straight colleague wanted to actually confess that he was gay. And maybe he just lashed out at him, but he didn't even let him talk. So he just left. So that doesn't really matter. But then the other thing is we have this issue with Chang Jing-sing, which is another resident in number 7 Riverbay Road. We just haven't gotten to his profile yet. And at first, Jung Wei-zhe was attracted to Zhang Yuan, but as soon as he heard that Zhang Yuan was just a proofreader and that this place wasn't his because Zhang Yuan is lying about his identity, he immediately took his eyes off of him because he's like, oh, he's not rich enough. Which, if you ask me, Zhang Yuan is perfect. Like, come on. Anyway, so he sets his sights on Chang Jing-sing, who is the most handsome guy out of everyone, and he assumes that he's rich because of the camera hanging around his neck. It's an expensive camera that was gifted to him. But Jung Wei-zhe, being young and naive and dumb, is like, oh, he must be rich because he's got this expensive ass camera. And throughout the whole first volume, you see these two tit for tatting with each other. They spend a lot of time together in each other's bedrooms. They have never had sex or anything like that, but they're very touchy feely with each other. But even though Jung Wei-zhe is falling for Chang Jing-sing so much, Chang Jing-sing is not giving him anything. Like, he's not rejecting him, but he's also not accepting him. And so again, when I say that Jung Wei-zhe was bullied and he allows people, like as an adult, he allows himself to be bullied, he really is allowing himself to be bullied so much. And it's so sad, honestly. You said that's what happened when you hide your identity and let misunderstandings keep going on and on. My dude never learned. Biggest tip come from the poorest looking people, lol. Yeah, and on the bullying aspect and just him never learning his lesson, wait till y'all get to volume 2. Like, this recap, I'm like, I hope I don't say anything about volume 2. If I just stick to my notes, we'll be okay. But I'm like, John Waitson needs help. And by help, I do mean he needs therapy, but I mean he also needs like a mentor or something to help him because it's so frustrating. And like, oh, I feel so bad for him. Like, he's annoying as fuck, but I feel bad for him. You say your face says everything. Yes, no spoilers. I was raised right. I don't spoil people unless they beg me to, because some people like spoilers. But okay. So, anyway, like I said, he's moved in to Riverbay Road. And everybody's hard on pressed for cash. So he doesn't have all of his money right up front. Many of them don't. Now, we're going on to the next person's profile, which was kind of short, actually. Why is it so short? Chun Hong, who is officially my second favorite character. So first, my favorite character is Zhang Yuan, the MC. My second favorite character is this Chun Hong. Chun Hong is 29 years old. His relationship status, single. Everybody's single at the beginning, okay? Everybody's single. His position, top. So we got too many tops. I mean, one of them is a self-proclaimed top, but he's actually a bottom. But anyway, top. His sexual orientation. He was straight. But then in his late 20s, he dated a guy, this rich, fickle guy, because he kept pressing him basically. And finally, he was like, okay, yes, fine, let's give it a shot. They dated for 28 days and then he got dumped. Chun Hong got dumped by this guy. And then you said these people are masochists too. Yes. So then he dated another person online. And this person, they turned out to be a repeat offender cyber sex predator who ended up getting his ass beat by Chun Hong because he was threatening to, put all of his stuff out there, his questionable photos and stuff out there. So yes, he got his ass beat by Chun Hong. But he showed him some mercy at the end. And that was that. So his love life, dismal. His interests and his career, working out, personal trainer. He's that stereotypical guy, always in the gym, always thinking about what you're eating. That's not good for you. That has too many carbs. You need to make sure you're working out, make sure you're doing your abs, your legs, your this, your glutes, and that. Oh my God, he's that guy. So I thought in the beginning that I was going to absolutely loathe his character because I get it. You're a gym head. You want gym all day, all night. Okay, but just like, don't bring that near me. Don't bring that near me. So, what are y'all saying in these comments? At least he ain't selling MLM products. He's not. The only thing he's trying to sell is being someone's coach, being someone's personal trainer. And so, um, that's all his thing is. He had a gym, but it wasn't doing well, so he had to close that down. And he was actually living in that gym as well. So that's how he got to number 7 Riverbay Road. And he had his interview and everything. So he could admit that Jong Yuen was handsome, but he was not one of the ones who had an instant attraction to Jong Yuen. So his kinks, he likes men in suits. He really likes socks and shoes and being treated like a dog. He's a masochist. He even said that it's okay if his dick is stepped on. So I can't. Those are his kinks. Okay, another masochist. His appearance is very muscular and masculine build. He's very physically fit, but he's not overly buff. You know those guys who just look so muscular, it's scary? He's not like that. He has a very nice form. And he's a puppy. Yes. He's being her. So at least when it comes to sex, not all day, every day in life. And then his personality, he's very mature, very steadfast and determined. And then I would even say he's a bit silly. His silliness is not out there in the open like mine is. Like I just be laughing at stuff. But sometimes he says things and it'll just be like, I'm serious. What are you saying? So I really like his character. He truly grew on me. And one of the things that was mentioned for him is that, his family, they're living somewhere else and in another city or whatever. His parents own a shop, I believe, or his sister owns a shop. And sometimes when he's there, he helps out and everything. So he has this dream of opening up his own gym. And at one point, he wanted to work only with elite people or famous people so that he can get bank, but it's just not going well. And so he's wanting to make it work, but trying to figure out how to do that. And that is his main struggle throughout the series thus far, is trying to get clients that are worthwhile. So moving on to the second to last character profile, and that is Chang Jing Xing, who I can officially say now is my least favorite character. Yeah. Anyway, instant attraction to Jong Yuen because why not? It's Jong Yuen. Everybody has to like the main character or be attracted to him. So he said, don't be a tech bro there. Ain't enough elites to make them profitable for business. For real. So, um, Chang Jin-sing, the most handsome of all of them. He is 27 years old, also single. He is a top, but he likes being pegged. Okay. His sexual orientation, he is the only, or I won't say only, he is the only one who has said that he is bisexual. Ding. But he prefers to date men. And his parentage, he had an abusive father who abused him and his mother, and his father was also a womanizer. This shaped his life to becoming a womanizer as well, or a manizer. Yeah, because of what I said about him and Jung Wei-tza and just all other people that he's been with before. So him, education. He has none, but what did he do? He lied about it. Everybody in this book has lied about something, about their background, where they work, what they do for a living. It's horrendous. I can't even be mad at one person for lying or the other because everybody's lying. Like it's just lions and tigers and bears on mine. So his interest and his career is photography. He's also a very good cook, which he learned from his father. And at some point in volume one, he becomes a rent a boyfriend, or I'll say he's a rent a boyfriend tripod because he sells himself out to basically pretend to be these girls' boyfriend and then take pictures of them everywhere. So he's just an object, essentially. His kink is prostate play. As I mentioned, he likes to be pegged. Not necessarily to be a bottom, but he likes things, stuck up there. So let me see. This is why I come to lives. I feel like they're kind of shuffling dom sub with bottom top either in China or translation somewhere. So we'll get to it. So it's from one of the things that he said is he doesn't want to bottom, but he does like being played with, like with toys, having those inserted there. So, but yes, his appearance, he is stylish, like I said, the most handsome, and he's 6 feet tall. And oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to his kink to explain why this is what it is. So, his prostate play kink was discovered when he was trained by a Fujoshi. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. He was trained by a Fujoshi who was his girlfriend for 30 days. And she did a lot of butt stuff with him. And he realized that he liked it. And after 30 days of training him, she left him. I don't know what to say at this point. It's just, this book is laughable. I'm not even gonna lie. It's so funny. So anyway, let me go on to his personality. His personality, he is a charmer, someone who knows how to use his looks to get by. He hates being objectified, but will put himself in positions to be objectified for money. Why? Because he is strapped for cash. Everyone has their preference, their weirdness. Absolutely. I ain't knocking him for it. I just think it's funny that he was trained. And she was like, yeah, I think I want to try to make this guy gay. And then did all of that. And it was like, okay, bye. Mission accomplished. I'm sorry, what are we doing? No, I was saying damn to leaving after 30 days. That was damn. This is so damn. So, yes, Chang Jing hates being objectified, but he has lived his life getting by on this objectification. He has dated people who would take care of his living expenses as long as they got to use his face. Look at my boyfriend. Isn't he so hot? Basically. Water. And he gets to a point where he gets a job on a cruise And he realizes, yeah, I hate this. I hate being objectified. I don't want to be objectified. But even before all of that, how he ends up getting into Riverbay Road is because he was living with someone, and he decided, I don't want to live this way anymore. I want to be independent. So he finds number 7 Riverbay Road, and that is how he gets in. So let's see, what do I have? Oh, his taste in partner is he wants someone who is not going to cause unnecessary trouble. So when I say this, I mean he doesn't want someone who's going to be argumentative, someone who isn't going to be too talkative, someone who isn't going to be too controlling. And honestly, all of these are um are nothing but Jungwaita. Jungwaita is very talkative. Jungwaita is so we don't see Jungwaita as controlling or anything, but there are moments where he's like, "Who you texting?" Or you could just feel that he would be that kind of person because he's insecure. So of course he would be. So it also gives us a little bit more insight, probably one of the reasons as to why Chang Jing Sing isn't really sold on Jungwaita because Jungwaita is not his type at all. Not completely. Maybe looks wise, maybe to, like bust a nut or something. He would be just for that moment, but he can't do that actually because Jang Yuan told him because he could see right away that he's a playboy. I mean, he works in the film industry, so he knows. So he told Chang Jing from the very beginning, you can't sleep with anyone or in this place or I will kick you out. You will not be able to live here anymore. So that's what that is. He said, well, is this like self-narrated or written as truth? Are you saying, oh, so this, I'm saying that he doesn't, that was me saying that. That is what I truly believe. But I do believe that to be true. Perhaps it was pointedly custom spoken. It's just, I'm trying to gather my thoughts and make sure I'm gathering them in volume 1 only. I'll just say that Chang Jing is a playboy. So it's like he sees someone who clearly likes him. So he's going to milk it as much as he can, but within the boundaries he's been given, at least by Zhang Yuan, because he can't be with anyone. So anyone in the house. So his dating history is pretty much what I said, oopsie, sorry. Yes, his dating history is pretty much what I said, and that's all there is to that. One thing I will say that happened, which let me make sure it's not in my later notes first before I just go talking about it. No, it's not. Okay. So even though he's not allowed to sleep with anyone in the house, and he still does not sleep with anyone in the house. What we have happening in volume 1 is at some point when he gets off of his cruise job of being a tripod that he absolutely hated, he gets picked up by Chun Hong and they jerk each other off. Yeah. Or I'll say Chang Jing does the work. Yeah. And nothing between them has really changed ultimately. It was kind of like I mean, we're just two dudes helping each other out kind of thing. And of course, they're keeping this a secret. So that was a pretty interesting thing. And I was like, huh. So, Fei Tian, are we opening up a path to which maybe Chang Jing Sing and Chun Hong could be a couple? Because you know what? I think Chang Jing Sing needs to be with someone who is more assertive, more determined, and Chun Hong is a morally upstanding guy, I would say. And we get to see this because when Zhang Yuan is introduced to someone that he knows, Chun Hong is very concerned about him. He wants to make sure that his friend is not being deceived. He wants to take care of him, or even thinking about his friendship with Yan Jun. He's like, I want to help you out in what you want to do romantically. And we're here, we're bros for each other. So I feel like Chang Jing Sing just needs someone like Chun Hong. Like, I haven't really shipped many people, But I ship them to yeah, I ship those 2. So, bros to the rescue. Also, don't forget water. Just 2 friends helping each other out. Yeah, that's all it is. And so, yeah, if I had to pair Chong Jing Sing with anyone in Riverbay Road, because he could always be with they all of them could be with someone outside of Riverbay Road, it would be Chun Hong. Chun Hong is an upstanding guy. And even at the end of this volume, hold on. Actually, I'm just not going to say it, just in case I'm confusing something with volume 2. Last character profile, and this is a short one. Huo Sichun. Does he live in Riverbay Road? No, he doesn't. This is an outside factor, an outside character. What is his age? I don't know. Because I don't think it was mentioned, but he's in the same age group as Zhang Yuan. And Zhang Yuan, I believe I said, was 27. So we're just going to say he's around 27 to 30, 27, 28, somewhere around there. Relationship status, single. Position, top. Why? Because everybody and their mama is a top in this book, apparently. So his sexual orientation was straight until Zhang Yuan. Okay. Instant attraction to Zhang Yuan. Family. He has an older brother. That's all we get. Education. He I have it here. He did not go to university. Did I mean that correctly? That may not be correct. Anyway, his interesting career. He's in a foreign trade company as the vice director, and he owns a small share. His kinks. Well, he wants to try all of the kinks that have been mentioned before. I'll just say that he wants to try all of the kinks that have been mentioned before. So Hwasa Chun's character is very interesting, and I'll talk about why. Catnip character. John Yuen is definitely catnip. He'd go in USA, I think, and come back for extra studies or something. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I think I copied and pasted the sections and accidentally put the wrong stuff. He definitely had education in America. I just don't. I for some reason I didn't put it here. So anyway, the reason he wants to try all these kinks. So one thing that we learn about Hwasa-chan is that yes, all of his life he had been straight. He had dated guys and girls, and that was just that. But then one day, when everybody at Riverbay Road decided to go out and have some fun, they went to a place where it was basically like laser tag. And yeah, I'm just going to equate it to laser tag. And they needed to split into equal teams. Hwasa-chan was there, and the owner of the place was like, hey, join a team so that the numbers can be even. Hwasa-chan, he reveals, instantly fell for Jang Yuen. Anyway, that is what it is. He was seen as straight by Jang Yuen. Meanwhile, everybody else was like, hey, you sure he's not into you? And Jang Yuen is like, of course not. He's straight. He's straight, you know? And so Chang Jing-sing is like, no, he's definitely checking you out. And of course, Chang Jing-sing would know because he's the checkouter of all checkouts, right? He's always in the checkout, ready to spend his money on another piece of ass. So it is eventually revealed that yes, he's into you. How does this get revealed? Because of Chun Hong. Chun Hong actually set them up on a blind date. How did this come about? Because Jang Yuen was like, I'm ready to date. And at first, Chun Hong thought he was talking about him. And he was like, not you, someone else. And Hwasa Chun also reached out to Chun Hong and wanted more info on Jang Yuen. So he set those two up together on a date. They had a nice dinner in this expensive ass restaurant. And Jang Yuen was like, next time, don't bring me somewhere so expensive. Okay. And they already were starting to build a friendship, right? After that one day they met, they exchanged numbers and they both like video games. So they always chatted about video games and all their other interests, but they never pried into each other's personal lives. So they established a friendship, which was very nice to see. And then this whole date thing happened. So, in the midst of that, Chun Hong actually felt pretty guilty about it because he knew that someone else liked Jang Yuan. And who was that person that liked Jang Yuan? It was Yan Jun, the other guy who was my second favorite character until Chun Hong. But Yan Jun, he's the more tanned one, the one with the baby, the one who's very observant, perceptive. He's also just his character is great. And he's in love with Jung Yuan. And he also does not trust Huo Se-chan. Chun Hong also does not trust Huo Se-chan. Chang Jing-xing also does not trust Huo Se-chan. Nobody trusts this man that Jang Yuan is dating, not dating when we're in volume one. And they're all afraid that Huo Se-chan is being deceptive, that he is going to fool Jang Yuan in some kind of way, and especially Yenjun. So my whole thing with Yenjun was, okay, is he feeling mistrustful of Hwasa-chan because he is a perceptive person and he works in sales and blah blah blah, so maybe he's able to see something that we're not seeing, or is he just letting his jealousy get the better of him because he truly does not see their relationship lasting long. He thinks it's just like a little fling basically, and eventually one day maybe he'll be able to shoot his shot with Jang Yuan. So I don't know which one of those it is, but we'll see. But what Jang Yuan and Hwo Se-chan have established is that they're both hiding something from each other. So Jang Yuan's whole thing is, I know he's hiding something from me, and I mean, I'm also hiding something from him. I'm a grown ass man. I can handle it. I'll be fine. Basically, that's where he is. So, huh, those are all of the characters that we have that are important. And one of the things that I can say that I appreciate thus far about Riverbay Road is that all other characters ultimately are referred to as him, her, them. Except for in moments when it's necessary, we don't get names of other characters. And I think that was really, really good, especially since I know a lot of you were like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with these names. You only had to focus on the names of these six characters and not their courtesy names, just their names, not the names of their families and all of that other stuff, just these characters. And that was fine. And every now and then, another character's name might have been said, and then it was just gone. So that is one thing that I appreciate. We just get to focus on them. And I'm glad because for me, reading this is difficult. Trying to switch between the voices, and I don't have six different voices to give these guys. But I'm trying my best. I really am trying my best. So, the next thing I'll talk about is the dynamic between everyone. So, first off, I'll just say that everyone overall is very friendly with each other. They became fast friends like very quickly. They hang out together. They spent New Year's together or Christmas or whatever when they could and all that stuff. So, I would say again, the dynamic between Chang Jing-xing and Jung Wei-ze is toxic. They spend a lot of time together. Jung Wei-ze is head over heels for him, but he's not getting a clear answer. And in my point of view, just from what I've learned from other guys, if he's not giving you a clear answer, it's just because he's not interested. He's going to use you for something, but he's not interested. So the dynamic between Chun Hong and Yan Jun, like I said, they are good friends. I think they both have a deep understanding of each other on a more mature level, but also understanding each other's struggles. Yan Jun is struggling to take care of Xiao Qi, and Chun Hong is struggling, well, to take care of himself. But they both have goals in life for things that they want to accomplish. And they have a good brotherly bond, I would say. Then we have Yenjun and Zhang Yuan. So they also are two people that have a clear understanding of each other overall. And Xiaoqi absolutely loves Zhang Yuan. This little baby loves Zhang Yuan. And Yenjun made it clear from the beginning that she is not quick to trust or like anyone other than him. So this is big. This is also another reason why I'm like, yes, Yenjun and Zhang Yuan, please, 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 because Xiaoqi loves him. And outside of saying Yenjun and Auntie, Yuan is the third thing that she learns to say. Oh my gosh! But anyway, they just have lots of different moments throughout volume 1 where it seems like they're connecting with each other, and it's just so frustrating to see Hwasa-chan step in there when I just want Yanjun and Jung Yuen to be together. I really do. Stacy said, "My ship." Yes, this is my ship, and I just need Fate's hand to get on it. Get on my ship, please. Oh my gosh. Screw Hwasa-chan. He could go somewhere else. Anyway, let me calm down. So next we have Jang Yuen. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jang Yuen and Chun Hong. You said I now also mistrust the outsider dude. That's so funny. I don't trust him. Something wrong with him. So we have Chun Hong and Jang Yuan. They also have a mature understanding of each other. I think they have a good brotherly bond. Very good, very good. Um, then we have Zhang Yuan and Chang Jingxing, who grew more interested in Zhang Yuan just because Zhang Yuan wasn't interested. He was like, "Oh, you're not interested in me? Well, now I'm more interested." Yeah, Zhang Yuan, he's been in the industry. He knows what all the playboys, what all the fuckboys are like. And so he's just like, yeah, I'm not falling for any of your flirtatious tactics. Don't sleep with anyone here or you will get kicked out. That's pretty much it for them. Like, I think they're cool friends or whatever, but it's not anything as good as what he has with Chun Hong or what he has with Yenjun. So then obviously we have Hwasa Chan and Zhang Yuan. Due to a common interest, they became friends. There's that now going on a date, and they're kind of in this in-between state in volume 1. They're not together, but they're not together. Anyway, now we have what did I say? Yeah, Chun Hong wanted to play matchmaker for Yan Jun and Zhang Yuan, but he ended up playing matchmaker for Hwasa Chan and Zhang Yuan, and he felt extremely guilty about that because he was like, I should have been on my bro's side, you know, but also trying to be on the side of the person he didn't want to offend because Hwasa Chan was also one of his clients. And he was like, bro, you also need to come back into the gym and work out. So there's that. Huh. So the next thing I want to talk about really quickly, it's not going to be long, is the turning point for Zhang Yuan in regards to his writing. So one of the things that had been mentioned over and over and over again by this editor at the publishing company that he decided to start writing his book for is that his work is unrelatable. His work makes it seem like he's looking down on everyone else on earth. His work is boring. And his change and his perspective happens pretty early on in the book. It happens in chapter 11 after he learns the true story of Zhang Yuan's experience and how he became the official guardian of his niece. Zhang Yuan realized that his writing was actually very bad and that it was unrelatable. And I think that that was important because before, when he was receiving the constructive criticism, he was just like, he didn't spaz out or anything. I like that he was able to listen and to accept the criticism. But it was one of those things like, okay, I hear you. I'll go back and try again, I suppose. But now he knows that his writing is bad. And so that's good. Like, I think as a writer, or honestly, as a creative in any form or fashion, It's one thing to hear that, oh, you need to work on your breathing to sing this part better, or you need to work on your drawing skills to draw this better, or whatever. But it's another thing when you can actually see the criticism in your work and say, okay, yes, this is an area that I need to improve in. And that moment happened for him. So I was very excited about it because that told me that, okay, eventually he is going to make a good novel, and said a moment of enlightenment. Yes, that is exactly what it was. And one of the things that was even greater is that Yenjuan even offered to share his life experiences with Zhang Yuan to help his writing. Another point for for Yanjun. Date, date, date. Putting it in the atmosphere of book two. I want it so bad. Anyway, and one of the things that we're going to talk about now is the development of the relationship between Zhang Yuan and Huo Sichan. I feel like this is very important to talk about just because he is the MC. So he's the one that we're focusing on the most in the novel. So, like I said in the beginning, everyone assumed that Huo Chun was straight, and everybody was questioning it, but Zhang Yuan was like, nah, he's straight. So they had their friendship bloom and everything. They chatted about the things that they like. But then there is this trip that they took where they went a mountain trip. It was Chun Hong's idea, which turned out to be an awful idea. But anyway, they go on this trip, and while they were going up the mountain, Zhang Yuan realizes that Huo Chun is giving him bottom treatment. You know, he's carrying his bag for him and everything like that. But what he's doing is comparing his old relationship to this moment, because they weren't even dating or acknowledging feelings then, to this moment. And he was like, "Oh, I used to carry my ex's stuff and I used to do this and do that. So I'm getting bottom treatment here." And we just get to see more of Jang Yuan's thoughts on how he thinks gay people and straight people are supposed to think, how they're supposed to act, and how a gay person needs to be either a top or a bottom, and what they should be doing, what their roles in society are, which again, we're getting to this, but it's just we got a couple of these moments sprinkled throughout the story. And then so after this hiking trip, well, I'm sorry, before the hiking trip was over, Zhang Yuan and Huo Sichuan ended up sharing a room together, and they slept in the same bed and everything, and it was hella cold. And Zhang Yuan fell asleep and embraced Huo Sichuan, and Huo Sichuan was very much hard. He was very much hard. So anyway, that was our indicator that, like, yeah, he's case not straight. He's definitely gay for you, Zhang Yuan. But Zhang Yuan was asleep. So anyway, after the trip, that's when Zhang Yuan finally admits that he has a little bit of feelings for Huo Sichuan. And he does this with Chun Hong because Chun Hong asked him. He was like, "Are you falling for him?" And he was like, "No." Okay, no, actually, maybe a little. Yeah, maybe a little. And that's how the blind date happens. So another thing that occurred with Zhang Yuan, which I feel like there's a lot of sprinkles of reflection throughout the series thus far, is Zhang Yuan realizes that in his previous relationship that there was a power imbalance, and he wanted to do things differently this time with Huo Sichuan. He wants to be a team, a teammate. He wants to be equal, on equal ground with someone, and doesn't even sexually speaking, he was like, "I don't even mind switching." But he just wanted it to not be, "Okay, let me take care of you because you are the bottom, you are the one that needs to be in this setting and everything exactly." He's like, "No, I'm going to be a team." So we're going to do things different so that there is no one person who feels like they have to rely on the other, which I think was a good shift for him. And then the two of them, they go on a couple dates. There are no kissing at all. And then eventually one day there is kissing, and somebody gets hard. Who somebody? Jang Yuan. Anyway, and probably Huo Chan too. But it was focusing on Jang Yuan at the moment. So another thing that we learn is that Huo Chan has an inferiority complex when it comes to Jang Yuan, because he feels like he doesn't really have much to offer. So he's hoping that he can do certain deeds to sweep Jang Yuen off his feet and buy his happiness. He's like, okay, whatever you want, I'll buy it for you. Still not knowing that Jang Yuen is loaded. He don't need you to buy him jack diddly squat. Okay. So then we get to page 301. Again, like I said, so many sprinkles of introspection, even if it's just for a fleeting moment, where Jang Yuen, he realizes that his last relationship followed heterosexual norms. And he thinks that in his new relationship, it's going to be hard to try to figure things out. So I think this is something very important to mention because absolutely his last relationship followed those norms. His ex was the woman of the house, essentially, and he was the man of the house. And so his issue now is trying to figure out with Hwasa Chun, like, okay, well, we're both guys. It's not a woman man dynamic, head of the household, woman of the household. This is a man man. So how do we figure out how we do this, how we do that? Like, who's the top, who's the bottom? Do we switch, or who provides, who takes care of the bills? Like, how he's worried that these things are going to be difficult to discover, to find out. Stacy says, I think there was an imbalance of power and of love in his last relationship. Absolutely. And the other thing was there was also just, I think, not much effort put in. Like Hwasa Chun is thinking maybe he can buy Jang Yuan's happiness. And I feel like Jang Yuan probably did that to his last person, even though he went off to go with someone who seemed to have even more money. It said that Jang Yuan used his money as a means of affection rather than, you know, actually building a bond because he was so busy. He was growing in his career as a film director and he didn't really have that time. So, yes, not only was there an imbalance in power, there definitely was an imbalance in love and just like effort. So, yes, Stacy, you said, LOL, that's why we read Don May for equality in relationships. That dude needs to get with the streamer guy. Lord have mercy. No, not the streamer. Oh, anybody except for Chang Jingxing in that household would be good for Zhang Weizhe. He poor little baby needs to be loved. Anyway. So again, like I said, on page 315. Oh no, I'm sorry. When they go to Hot Springs for, was it New Year's? Yes. They go on a Hot Springs vacation, which Jang Yuen made up this pretty little lie as to how he got the vouchers for them to go to this lavish hot spring. Not his film director identity at all. Anyway, Hwasa Chun admits that he loves Jang Yuen. Mind you, not a lot of time has passed. It was pretty jarring, honestly, when I read it. I was like, oh, okay. I think I even said it while I was reading. I was like, oh, okay then. And it's crazy because he said, I like you. No, I love you. Yuen, I love you. And then it says that Jang Yuen wanted to reply, I like you too. So at least I was happy to see that Jang Yuen wasn't going to be like, I love you too. But it was more so just like, I mean, he's like, I like you. So it wasn't, he said, love bomb much. So there was that odd moment. I was like, okay, I'm still in my chair. Okay. So at this hot spring, shortly after that, they had their first sexual encounter. Was it all the way? No, it was not all the way. It was rubbing uglies, if you will. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of bumping uglies, but that is a term that's used in America for having sex because most people think that a vagina and a penis is ugly and they're bumping, so they're ugly. So I would say they were rubbing uglies. So literally taking both of their uglies and rubbing them together. So Yes, they were in this hot spring doing it or whatever. But here was the problem. Hwasa-chan finished very, very fast to the point that even Jang Yuen was like, huh? He finished so fast. So Jang Yuen had to finish himself. Like he had Hwasa-chan sit up and then he like sat, with his back pressed against his chest and was jerking himself off. And so it was really funny. Then at some point they're all playing this game of truth or dare, and I think they're also using money from the Monopoly game or whatever to play it. It's a weird that the how they were playing the game is irrelevant. The point is they were playing truth or dare, but everybody was doing like truth basically. And they decided to settle on one truth for everybody, like, and it was, what are your kinks? So that's why the kinks were all mentioned in the character profiles. Everybody gave their kinks. And here's where we get to the more important parts where we talk about Hosa Chan and why he wants to try everybody's kink. So aside from the fact that he was straight his entire life and then he became gay for Jong Yuen, hearing about all of the kinks that everyone has, it's very exciting for him because it's novel for him. It's like literally, I think at one point, one of the things he said he wanted to try was just like regular penis and butt sex. And they were laughing at him because he wanted to try this. And they were like, so, like, just regular sex. But then Jang Yuen was thinking, well, this is new for him. This is not something he's ever considered or ever done before. So it's understandable why he's so excited about this. Like he's ready to explore. And so he's hearing about all of these kinks and he's like, ooh, I'm gonna try that one. Oh, I'm gonna try that one too. And I'm not even gonna lie, it kind of made me think about when I first started reading Danmei. Like it was novel to me. It was so exciting. And I was like, I want to explore all the Danmei. And then I'm like, whoa, oh, this is nice. Oh, this is cool. Oh, this is cool. Like it became an obsession and an infatuation because it opened my eyes to a lot of things that growing up, I won't say I had been repulsed by. I don't think I was ever repulsed by homosexual relationships, but it was what I was taught was wrong. I was taught was a sin. So when I finally truly gave it a shot by watching Word of Honor and then The Untamed and then reading Modal Zushur and on and on and on, my brain went into like overdrive and everything excited me. Mind you, guys dating guys and guys kissing guys and fucking guys is completely normal in society. But for me, it wasn't normal. And so it was very exciting. So that is what I compare, with Hwasa Chun. He was just like, this is exciting. I want to try all of this stuff and I want to try it with you, Jang Yuen. But not only that, for the past 2 years, he also had erectile dysfunction. So for the past 2 years, he hasn't really been able to explore anything sexually. He just wasn't getting turned on anymore by women, by porn. He barely got morning wood. And so when he saw Jang Yuen was the first one to make him get hard again after 2 years of erectile dysfunction. So it also makes even more sense why he got so excited and was like, I want to try all of this. And it also makes sense now we know exactly why it is that he came so fast. Because it's been so long since he had sex. So he's just gotta like build that stamina back up. But even though he came fast, his refractory period was also very, very small. So there's a plus, Jong Yuen. Anyway, let me see what's in the comments really quickly. You said he was holding it in for too long. Yes, he held it in for 2 whole years. He said, OMG, his brain would explode reading 50 Shades, wouldn't it? Probably. That is a series I never read. And it was crazy when I was in high school. All the girls were over it, all over it. And I was just like, I'm not interested. What was I reading? I don't remember. It wasn't that. That's the point. Um, giving Wei Ying being, "Oh, we can do that." That's what I'm saying. Like, if someone was like, "Here's a sword," I feel I feel like Hosa Chan would have been like, "I wanna try that too." So it's just oh my god. It just is what it is. So, anyway, while this relationship with Zhang Yuan and Huo Chan continues to develop, not the sword, into, what it's becoming, we learn that Yan Juan is head over heels for Zhang Yuan and he is in love with him. At first, he was just like, I think I'd like to be with this guy and everything, but he clearly is head over heels for Zhang Yuan as well. And he believes that their relationship is not going to last long. He thinks that Huo Chan and Zhang Yuan look good together. They are a good match, but he personally believes that the mutual feelings of likeness and attraction will not sustain. And that he and Zhang Yuan just have a certain something special. Like when they went to do their laser tag, there was a moment where Zhang Yuan and Yan Juan were aiming directly for each other because Yan Juan was the sniper and Zhang Yuan was really good as well. And they made eye contact. And I ain't gonna lie, when I read it, I was like, ooh. But he was like, even in a simple moment like that, he just felt there was a connection there. And he's just ready for Hwasa-chan to just get out of the way. And he thinks Hwasa-chan is devious and he doesn't trust him. So there's that. You said I did not mention Bichan. Yeah, that was me that mentioned Bichan. So we have that. And there's also one point where Hwasa-chan and Yenjuan are drinking together and they're talking or whatever. And Zhang Yuan is off with, I think, Xiaoqi or the others. And he believed they got shit faced. They got so drunk. And it got to the point where Zhang Yuan believed that Yenjuan did it on purpose. They didn't really dive into that. But I'm like, maybe it's a possibility that Yenjuan intended to get Hwasa-chan drunk, and maybe he was hoping that he would reveal some kind of secret, and then he'd find out some kind of truth. But his alcohol tolerance wasn't very good, and so he ended up getting drunk as well. That was that. So Zhang Yuan spent the entire night running back and forth between Hwasa-chan and Yenjuan to make sure they were all right, to make sure that Xiao poor little baby, didn't get vomit all over her or that Yenjuan didn't roll over on her in the middle of the night. Chun Hong and Jung Wei were supposed to help, but they fell asleep. So there's that. So now other happenings that happen later in the story. We learn that Zhang Yuan and Hwasa-chan most likely met as kids at this resort that they are currently at. Though this is where I feel like I've been too traumatized by Danmei, and this is why I'm thinking this way. Both of their memories are fuzzy, so I don't trust it right away. And I'm blaming it on Danmei, specifically Yu. And so, because my brain is remembering like Yue Chen when he thought it was Jiang Yexue who had given the instructability talismans to the villagers to protect them from the fire, but he eventually found out it was he whose name I just cannot say. And it just kind of reminds me of this scenario because he was like, "Oh, I came here when I was a little kid and I have a brother and this incident happened." And it's like, "Oh yeah, I remember you. Was that you? This is what happened." But my memory's fuzzy and I'm like, "Okay, Hwasa-chan, you have a brother, an older brother. Yenjun also has an older brother. Yenjun has also been to this resort before as a child." So I'm just like I'm just like, what if it wasn't you? But it was Yanjuan. But that's just me being overly suspicious because they were talking about the incident that happened. And I mean, how likely is it that the exact same incident happened to not only Hwasa-chan and Jung Yuan, but Yanjuan and someone else? But still, let me be suspicious, okay? Anyway, um, the the trauma in your voice. Shady narrator rampant. I'm just like, I don't trust this at all. I don't trust you, Horsa-chan. So, anyway, while they were at the hot springs, was it while they were at the hot springs? Was when Xiao said Zhang Yuan's name? Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. The point is she said it, which was a huge development. So, I already said the whole thing after Chang Jingxing came back from his cruise job. He and Chun Hong each other. But that's not all that happened. This is why, as we get more into the story, Chang Jingxing has officially become my least favorite character. Because what he does, Zhang Weizhe has been waiting for Chang Jingxing to come back from his cruise job where he was a tripod. And he's been tidying up his room, just making sure he bought a scarf. Well, he bought a gift for everyone, but he bought a scarf for him. He just wants Chang Jingxing to come back because he loves the guy. And what does Chang Jingxing do? He picks up his phone. He looks at one of the girls from, oh, my package is out for delivery. He looks for one of the girls who is from the trip. And he says, "Hey, look at my girlfriend." Meanwhile, it's not actually his girlfriend. It was a previous client, is all it was, that he was being a camera for. And so I get why he did it. He did it. Oh, there's the other kitty too. Sorry. Sorry, I'm getting so distracted. He doesn't like Jung Weitza like that. And this was his way of showing that by saying, "Look at this girlfriend I have." Instead of just coming out and saying, "Hey, guy, I don't like you romantically. I don't want to be with you in that kind of way." And to me, it was just a cop out. It was a dick move and it was a cowardly move for him to do it that way. I feel like he is trying to push off the streamer guy. Yes. Yes, there's a kitty. I think another kitty came yesterday, and there are 2 kitties that have come by on my patio, and I haven't seen them for a while, and I'm in a different room and looking out, and I've been seeing them at the other apartments, and I've seen I'm like, "Oh, so they're still alive. Why haven't I seen them?" Anyway, that's fine. You don't have to drink my water anymore. I've still got Killua with me. So, I just don't like Chang Jing and the way he's handling that because it's just like it was very easy for you to just say you don't like him. Why do you have to crush him like that? But here's where things get worse for me. During their truth or dare game, like I said, they were also mixing it with the Monopoly or something like that. And Chang Jing lost. And the thing was, whoever at the end of this game lost, they had to do a dare from the winner. The winner of the game was Hwasa Chun, which made sense because he kept having to get up and go answer the phone from his job, who was pestering him while he was on vacation. And so his dare to Chang Jing was to kiss one of them. You know where I'm going with this. If you weren't reading, you know where I'm going with this. Who does Chang Jing decide to kiss when they go out and watch fireworks? Jung Weitze, the guy that is madly in love with him, the guy that he just recently told, "Hey, look at my girlfriend." He goes and kisses him. Oh, I hate fuck boys like this. Yes. So by the end of the novel, I was highly concerned for Jung Weitze because I was like, so at the end of this novel, Jung Wei-ta was having thoughts of just beginning to have thoughts of maybe I need to move on since Changjin Singh isn't truly giving me a direct rejection or acceptance. I feel like I need to move on. And then Changjin Singh kisses him. I was like, my guy, I will hop in this book and murder you. Because in the book, it's okay if I murder you. You said because that's abusive as fuck. Yes. That's one of those things. It's like, okay, so I don't know how exactly your father was abusing you and your mother, like if it was physical abuse or other kind of abuse, but what you're doing right here is you are being just like your father and you are abusing this poor young man's feelings. You could have kissed anyone else. You really could have. And you should have. But you chose to kiss the guy that clearly adores you. I just I wanted to murder him so bad. I'm not even going to lie. And that's how the book ended. Like that is how it ended with this kiss. And I was just like, "Why?" And I'm trying to let me go back to it. Yeah. Like it doesn't even say sorry, I'm just rereading it again really quickly. Yeah. It doesn't say anything like Chang Jing-sing was looking at Jung Wei-tza and thought, you know what, this guy is actually very beautiful. Or he was looking at him and reflecting and thinking, you know, he's been really good to me or anything like that. No, they were just watching the fireworks. And then somebody suggested, oh, I think it was Chun Hong that suggested, like, oh, um, you can kiss Zhang Yuan no, you can kiss Sechun. And they were like, no, no, don't kiss me. And then fireworks are going off. Boom, 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 boom. Chang Jing-sing is taking pictures of everybody. And then he gets to Jung Wei-tza and he sees him staring at the fireworks. And then he just snaps his fingers at him. And Jung Wei-tza looks and then he's like, let's move on. I can't stay on this point forever. So there is literally only one quote in this book that stood out to me. That was my favorite. And I said it in the video, the very first video of these, but I'm going to say it again. And that was on page 13, where it says, by dumping him, the junior was, in effect, ditching a watermelon for a sesame seed. I liked this quote. And this was going back to Jang Yuan's previous relationship where his boyfriend left him to go be with a guy who seemed richer. And it was like, but actually, Jang Yuan was richer than that guy. So he left a watermelon for a sesame seed, which was very funny because it's like a watermelon is full of seeds to plant and grow more watermelons. But you literally just went to this one little measly sesame seed. So now we get to the final part of this live session, and that is the discussion topics. I feel like we've covered enough about the books and the characters and all that stuff. I want to talk about a couple of things. So, the first thing I had mentioned on page 12, yes, of course, you said good riddance, though, for real. So, one of the things that we had already talked about earlier on, just a little bit, or I posed a question, was about Jang Yuan's parents potentially influencing his sexuality because why are there so many animals? Where are you all coming from? Are you by yourself? There are two of you. Oh, okay. They're the owner is. Okay. I'm sorry. Now there were like two dogs, two tiny dogs, and I'm like, what? But I happen to see their owner. They're just not on a leash, as they should be. So anyway, we talked about the parents, Animal Kingdom, right? We talked about how, you know, his parents' toxic relationship is possibly something that influenced his sexuality. You're the same with Fusanier. It's awful. And don't let me see a squirrel. I will be talking to you guys and I'm like, squirrel. I don't know why. But there was another thing that was on page 12, which I feel is very important. Just literally a paragraph later, it says, although same sex marriage was now legal, there was still a lot of social stigma attached to homosexuals. Adhering to principle that it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble, Zhang Yuan never publicly disclosed his sexual orientation. I feel this is important because I know there was someone in the comments that mentioned that they did not like the perspective that was being put on sexuality in this story. And it was very, it was bothering them. And in a way, it kind of bothered me as well. But as I said, there were sprinkles of comments that I thought it was you. Yeah. But there were sprinkles of comments that were written in here that put everything together for me. And this was one of them. Not to mention also on page 240, which it was mentioned again that Zhang Yuan was always careful not to inconvenience anyone else. So the reason why I want to point this out, because I know that just like you, NFS, there are probably other people that aren't keen on reading this because they're like, why is it like this? Why is it forcing like the stereotypes of, oh, are you a top or are you a bottom? Do you do this or do you do that? You need to be the woman in the relationship and I be the man. And it's hi, Rubies. It's because of parts like this. So clearly, we have recent legality of same sex relationships, but he's living in a world where gay marriage, though legal, is still frowned upon. He's living somewhere where, I mean, which in most places, of course, a heterosexual relationship is the norm. But one thing we also need to consider is that this is a different culture as well. And some cultures stress more, even more so, what a man's role is and what a woman's role is. Like, yes, we stress that stuff here in America as well, but America is also, even though it's a very closed-minded country, it is also open-minded at the same time. And so we here, it's like, okay, you don't have to be a top or a bottom, you can be both. It doesn't matter. It could be the woman who's the doing this or that, so but in a relationship like this, I mean in a society like this, it's possible that the pressures are so great that even him knowing that he's gay, even though he did not make this, like he didn't verbally put it out there, he still wanted to make sure that he was abiding by the social norms because it said he wants to adhere to the principle of avoiding unnecessary trouble and that he also did not want to inconvenience other people. And so that really enlightens me, or not just him, but even the other characters and how they're in some ways set on looking at things like this is how it's going to be. So I just wanted to point that out as something that was important, because even in scenarios where it has nothing to do with sexuality, but when you're living in a world where there is a stigma of any kind, whether it's a stigma on mental illnesses, a stigma on sexuality, a stigma on, your skin color, education, those things are going to influence how we think. And we have to get to a point, like, we're all influenced socially in some kind of way, even if those social influences don't necessarily come from what you're seeing in the world, but they come from what your parents have seen in the world and then they instill in you. For example, with myself, I didn't really care about social dynamics and social stigma because all I cared about was what my mother believed, what my mother thought, because she was my God. She was the one that I was always trying to live up to, but never was able to measure up to. But she was influenced by social stigmas, and those were put into me. And it took me some time to change my thinking on certain things. And yeah, it's just one of those things where as life goes on, you have to learn how to get past those things. And we see Zhang Yuan having those small moments as they're sprinkled throughout, where he's like, huh, I think there was a power imbalance. Huh. I think I want to be with someone and be a team, not a top or a bottom. We can just switch. I think I don't want someone to have to rely on me. I think I want us to be able to take care of each other. Let me see the comments. He said, I think I'm bothered. One was coerced into romantic relationship, and other one was trained. And I was just like, it wasn't about this particular parent trauma. I see. And, that is bothersome as well. But I can only assume that that is probably something that has happened before in real life, potentially. I mean, it's in fiction, and fiction is fiction, but a lot of times fiction pulls from things that have happened. And I do know that when it comes to Danmei and just boys love in general, that there are women who take it outside of the fiction and become obsessed with the idea of men being together. Like, I'm obsessed with it only in fiction. Like, it is my cup of tea, it is my frappuccino, it is my matcha latte with a pump of vanilla and all of that stuff. But I don't take it outside of fiction. But there are probably women who are detestable and would get with a man just to try to experiment on them and hopefully turn them gay. Like, that sounds awful, and you would think, oh, that can't happen in real life. But and all the 8 billion people or whatever that live in this world, I'm sure that there have been plenty of women who have done so. So, is it problematic or is it uncomfortable to read? Yes. But I'm not sure that Fei Tian Yeshang put it there just to put something there, or you get what I'm saying? You know, let me see. Also with the whole buy this thing, kind of Playboy kind of wasn't offensive, but kind of gave me a vague ick. I gotcha. Most influence comes from within the family. Absolutely. Most of all of our influences come from within the family. And then after that, the influences are going to come from the rest of your environment, wherever you are. So, of course, with children, that is going to be in school, where honestly you spend the most of your day. The school is where you are raised, and then you go home for the rest of the day and then the weekend to be raised by your family. So, yeah. Um, my family is the same though for various reasons. I came out as the weird one of the family. Oh, weird is good. Weird is just wired different. You use the same letters. Weird, wired. You're wired different, but you're wired beautifully. Um, and then I'm sorry, where are we? He will get better in writing for real, for real. Yes, he absolutely will. That was the whole point. Yep. I was surprised because one critique that it made towards yaoi and danmei authors is that it perpetuates heteronormative dynamics because the authors are women. So I get that people have their critiques on something like that. But at the end of the day, Danmei was written by women for women. We'll put it that way. And when you look it up, actually, you'll find that the biggest audience for Danmei and yaoi consumption is heterosexual women. Heterosexual women are going to have their heterosexual norms, and that is totally fine. As long as the norms and stuff, the kinks, the things that we like and everything, as long as we're keeping it to either our own household, our own friend groups or whatever, and certain things only to fiction, I personally think that it is perfectly fine. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're fetishizing this or fetishizing that or glamorizing this or glamorizing that. And it's like, it's fiction. So as long as people are keeping certain things to fiction, it honestly doesn't matter. Let people enjoy what they enjoy. And I mean, it's kind of like when you think like porn was made for men. Danmei was made for women by women. And if you it's I mean, if you don't like it, then or if you critique it to the I don't know, if you critique it, it's fine. It's totally fine to critique it, and I think critiquing stuff is fine, but it's just also important for people to remember that, yes, okay, it's written by a woman and it's written for women. Not to say that men can't read it, not to say that men can't write it and haven't written it, they have, but it's written by women for women, and those are just based on how society has been built as a whole throughout the entire earth overall. It's just going to be pretty much how women write. Not to say that women can't get out of that, but it's how they're going to write, because it's what they're used to. So, and like, even for me, I remember when I first, if it's consensual, whatever, yeah, that is really all that matters. And at the end of the day, even though it's putting these norms on, the male male relationship, that's I don't think it's out of touch, Like, there are relationships between people in which they do things the standard way, and then there are relationships between people, and I'm talking about all relationships, not homosexual or heterosexual, just all, where they do things creatively. So there are relationships, gay relationships, where they do decide, "Hey, I'll be the top, you'll be the bottom." Maybe it's because there's a guy who prefers not to get things stuck up his asshole, and so he doesn't ever want to do that. And so they have established that. And the other person is fine with having a penis stuck up their ass. Perfectly fine. And then there are the relationships with gay guys who may say, okay, let's switch. So it's just, as long as it's consensual, as NFS said, that's all that matters. And here it's consensual. Like, it's consensual. Is it stereotyping or trying to put things into heterosexual sexual norms? Yes, it is. I don't know. There's really nothing we can do about it. And if I'm understanding correctly, isn't Fei Tianya a man? Am I wrong about that? I don't know. I could have sworn Fei Tian was one, and then there was one other one. I don't remember. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I truly don't remember if Fei Tianya Chang is a guy or a girl. But I know there were other comments, but since Fei Tian is male, I was okay. That answers my question. I was going away from that, uh, um, but he didn't. I mean, I guess the other question is, I think in all romance, you can divide between absolute escapism and then slice of life drama. Absolutely, you can. Just some talking points as dark romance. Who don't even get me started on dark romance, which honestly, I don't even read regular dark romance. Any dark romance I've read, I'm sorry, I've read one dark romance series. I still need to finish that book. But any of the dark stuff I get is from Danmei, the dark Danmei romance. And I just don't have interest in dark romance books that I've heard about. Um I'm also still in my Danmei phase that still has yet to go away, where ultimately it is pretty much all I want to read, except for every now and then where I find a really cool memoir or something like that. So that is what it is. Um, you said Danmei and every kind type of book um, are the way of escaping real life and the difficulties that it brings along. In some ways, yes, it is about escaping life and the reality of things, but I don't think that's necessarily always true. It's sometimes books are written for escapism, and sometimes I feel like they're written for escapism, but also with the purpose of enlightening your actual circumstances. And I mean that a lot from like reading Yuwu. It was very helpful for me, like in my grieving process. There was so much death. The death is something that we face in real life. There was no escapism in that at all. But it helped me grieve my grandpa. And like, I feel like it just helped me grieve him, not faster, but faster, if you will. And also just seeing all the parallels between myself and Gumang, and, the relationships between abusive family members and stuff like that. That was not escapism. That was in my faceism. And so, yes, I think fiction is written to escape, but it is also written in some ways to help you reflect or to help you get through things that are happening in your actual life. Um, let's see, at least for me, since I have that way to escape reality at times, yes. But yes, and even if it's still in line with what I'm experiencing or what I have experienced, it's like, well, it's them experiencing it at the moment, not me. Um, oh yeah, Guy. You say, yeah, I escape from modern societal issues as far as possible in my fiction. I feel that. Ruby's mentioned it was a man earlier. Yes, eyes, TGCF, size. I don't want to say anything about TGCF. I don't know. Like it's so weird. I loved TGCF and I have the most TGCF products in my bedroom, but I'm so tired of it. Like, and I know we're getting off track because there were two other things that I wanted to talk about, but I am so tired of it because in this Facebook group that I'm in, which I don't even go to it anymore, but every 5 seconds it's Shillian this, Hwachung that, Shillian this, Hwachung that. Oh, Shillian is pure. This is that. It's a pure and wholesome Danmei or this or that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes the TGCF fans be a little bit too crazy for me. That has nothing to do with the story. Like I loved the story. I still loved the story and all of its flaws, but I've just gotten so exhausted from it. That's why when people ask me, "Oh my gosh, can you please read TGCF?" I'm like, "No, I absolutely will not. I don't want to bring that here. I do not want to bring that here at all." Also, two of the books were just way too boring to me, and I don't want to struggle through those. So I totally got off subject, but TGCF was mentioned, and I just you said, oh, so Arise Jong is also part of the community. So that's something to know. So with him being a part of the community, then he would understand very much what the experience is like. So that also goes to say I'll call it my theory, if you will. I don't want to speak in fact on things that I don't know, but speaking in my theory that the reason why these norms and stuff are mentioned in here is because they are things that people that are gay potentially struggle with or deal with or decide to endure and stuff like that. So, yes, we see these heterosexual norms, and it's probably there's a potential that there are a lot of male on male relationships that are founded their foundation is a heterosexual norm, you know? Who knows? So, um, or he could just be doing what is it called? Is it called fan service? Because this is just the kind of stuff that women, like to read. He could just be playing into the need a top, need a bottom, because women are used to okay, the man is topping me and I'm the bottom, which was something that I dealt with when I first read Don May, and I kind of still deal with. I mean, I've spent 28 years of my life thinking one way. And so when reading Don May, my brain always had to put the show in a much more feminine mindset because it was just hard for my brain to like register two guys sleeping together and which is ridiculous, but my brain is still always thinking, okay, so this one probably looks a little bit more feminine and nice and pretty and stuff like that. And it's been taking me time. Like I'm not afraid to admit that I am still overcoming some of the thoughts that I've had growing up, and not the whole homosexuality being a sin or wrong thing. Like I'm over that completely, but I'm talking about like the norms and stuff that my brain goes through. Those are things that I still have to like work on, like reading something like Arha and seeing that Morjan is handsome. Chuaning is also handsome. He's not a pretty, delicate little feminine androgynous beauty like Xielian, you know. He's handsome. So those are things that just having to work on. Cultural translation. Oh, wait, I'm skipped comments. Sometimes I think fiction is a piece to comfort trauma and digest it. Absolutely, yes. It helps you out in so many ways. That's very cute. TGCF is too good, but also it has too many heavy stuff in it. It does. It has a lot of heavy stuff in it. I'm telling y'all that. those 100 stabs, which technically it had to be more than 100 because someone did miss and they sliced again. I was I didn't my husband was like, "Is she okay?" Because I was losing it. Hmm. You said I avoid crazed fan depths. Absolutely, me too. Which is one of the things that's crazy for me when it comes to like My Hero Academia, because I know a lot of people refuse to watch it because of the fandom. And I'm like, excuse my French. Fuck the fandom. Just watch the show. Like that's what I do. I watch the show and I love the show. I'm not getting into the fandom where a whole bunch of weird stuff is happening. Like I just enjoy it for myself and just call it a day. And it's the same thing with TGCF. I loved it. I'm just tired of it. Like I'm just worn out because everywhere I turn, I see it, see it, see it, see it, see it. And there's so much more Donmei that I believe deserves so much more attention, even by MXGX. Like I'm like, SVSSS, where can we have that? Anyway, yeah, I don't care about fandoms. I don't get into all that mess. I just want to enjoy what I enjoy and call it a day. Celian isn't either though. Celian isn't what? I'm sorry. Don't worry. You registered Lee, you're giving birth. You're right. I did. I registered Lee, you're giving birth. um, so Shelian is not described as feminine in the book, but he is described as being beautiful, having an androgynous look. So he could be looked at as a male or a female. And I think that's something important for people to remember. He's not described as feminine in the way that he acts, but he had been described as having that kind of a face that you could double take. But yes, he was a strong martial god. That is something very, very important. And I just hate going down that debate because sometimes it's like people come just it's possible to look pretty and be a badass martial god. Like you don't have to make him overly muscular and a badass martial god at the same time. He was described as beautiful. And in fact, that was one of the things that they reveled in Xianle is the beauty of the people there. But enough of that. Um, there are some parts of TGCF you just downright won't reread because it's so heavy. I feel that. Yeah. Yeah, it was just so heavy. I think I spent 6 months on TGCF hardcore, and then after that I started watching MHA. So that took its place and now I'm done. But that was another one that was very relatable to me, just as far as like the relationship between Celian and Junwoo and how all of that unraveled. It hit a little too close to home. So I was like, okay, that's enough of that now. And it's how I feel with Yu. I loved it. I don't know when I'll ever reread Yu again. Like I've reread all of the books on my channel multiple times except Priest. It's Shapalong. But I don't know about you though. Probably won't be rereading that anytime soon. It was exhausting. So anyway, trying to get back on point. So that was one of the discussion points that I wanted to talk about. Can I even talk about this next one? Because I feel like we probably touched on it already. No, we didn't. On page 55, we are talking about Chun Hong. He didn't want to date men anymore. This was after his weird things. He didn't want to date men anymore. He had to return to the world of heterosexuality lest he disappoint his parents. And then at the end of the paragraph it says he agreed with what people said about settling down and started to think there might be something to starting a family first before establishing his career. So again, that first part of returning to the world of heterosexuality, lest he disappoint his parents, also goes back to just a lot of the issues and stuff that they were facing. But I specifically want to focus on the next part. This has nothing to do with heterosexuality or homosexuality and everything to do with just life in general. And that is him thinking that maybe it would be a better idea if he settled down, started a family, and then established his career. To me, this was a very problematic mindset to have been taught to him because, which don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with starting a family and then launching one's career. But if there is one thing that I can say based on experiences that I have heard from other parents is that if they could have launched their careers first, they would have preferred to do that and then have kids. Again, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a hetero or homosexual relationship. This is just about life. And I think like Chun Hong is already struggling so much to get his gym up and running the way he wants. And I just feel like if he were to start by getting a family, whether it was a man or a woman, and they have kids or adopt kids or whatever, a surrogate, all of that crap, it's like, wouldn't that just make it much harder for him to launch his career that he truly is passionate about? We see that throughout the book. Always telling people what they should and shouldn't be eating and constantly reminding people that they need to work out and come see him and work out. That just wouldn't be a good idea. And I know in places like China, but it sometimes happens here as well too in America, that having a family, settling down, getting married, having a family is very important. Establishing that, it's annoying, and it's kind of like even here, I remember when I got married and everything. And then somebody was like, "So when are I getting a grandbaby? Or when are you gonna have kids?" And I'm like, pump your brakes. I'm still trying to figure out what I wanna do for a living. Pump your brakes, you know? And so that was just a thing that I wanted to mention because it was just I hated reading that he was starting to agree with the idea of doing that because ultimately to me, it was more than just putting a setback in his career, but probably putting potentially putting a complete stop to his dreams because that is what happens to some people. And I'm not going to go into, oh, you can't let things hold you back and this and that, whose fault is it, whatever. But there are some people who had dreams and they forever remain dreams because they have kids too early in life. They have kids when they're still kids, or they have kids when they're still trying to figure things out. And then by the time the kids have grown up and left out, they're older, they're tired. They don't even have the zeal anymore because they have sat in the complacency of just having a family instead of pursuing their dreams. And then it's pretty much the end for them. So I just in this second volume, what I really want to see is things take off for Chun Hong because I don't want him to fail. I don't want him to go home and start a family and let his dreams potentially die. I want him to be successful. So that's just something I wanted to talk about for a second. You can't have two priorities at once, and kids are priority. Yes, kids are a priority, and it's not one of those things where, oh, as they get older, it becomes easier. In some aspects, yes, it does. They can help you clean the house. But in some aspects, it becomes more difficult because you're having to deal with the hormones there and every rebellious spirit that is within them as they grow older. So it's like having kids, especially depending on the dynamic of like, is it a single parent household? Are both the parents there? Are both the parents full time? How do both the parents agree to raise them the same way? There are so many other factors that can make things so much more freaking complicated. So it's just ah. Talking from experience, some people care more about career than kids, but some people keep pushing you to get kids even if your career is on the edge of a cliff. Yeah, which makes absolutely no sense. It's like, I'm sorry, are you going to be having these kids for me? Are you pushing out this kid or are you paying for this kid? Are you providing for this kid and taking care of this kid? Why do you keep trying to pressure me to have the kid? Meanwhile, I'm struggling here to make my dreams come alive or keep them alive, whatever the case may be. So it's just like that was something I had to deal with, not even from family members, but from the church. It was like, when are you gonna have kids and stuff? And I'm like, I actually don't want kids at all. Oh, but kids are a blessing. They sure are. And I won't be having them. It said that kids are a blessing. That didn't mean I had to have them. It just if you get them, they're a blessing. Sure. And it got to the point where even at one point, when I wasn't doing well, they were like, "Oh, you must be pregnant. That's so good. It's a blessing." I'm like, first off, we don't know if I'm pregnant. But, like, second of all, I we can't get pregnant. Like, we can't physically, my husband and I. And they're like, "Oh, you know, well, God can work miracles." And I'm like, "What miracle? I don't want kids. That would not be a miracle to me. That that would be a severe punishment." I already told my husband, I was like, "I hope that we can continue to not have kids, because if we have a kid, I'm not gonna see it as a blessing. I am going to see it as God punishing me. I'm gonna see it as, what did I do wrong? And you have put a baby in me. You know, I don't want to go through the pain of labor. I don't want to go through the pain of having to take care of another baby child or another human being. And I also personally would not want to get an abortion. And so I'm like, so are you just dooming me to like put a child in the system and have them thinking, oh, their mother does not love them? Because, like, what? Because I couldn't take care of the child, but I also couldn't bear the thought of possibly killing a child. And I know everybody has their thoughts and everything on that, so I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, but in my personal opinion, it's life begins at conception. And so I'm like, I can't bring myself to kill the baby. Like, you can see in the abortion videos and stuff, like, they are like, "Oh my god, I'm being sucked out." I was like, I can't do it. So either way, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place of killing the baby or putting the baby in the system. It just would not be a blessing to me. It would be a curse. So that was a ramble. But I'm just like, no, you guys, all these people who are always pressuring you to have kids, have kids. It's like, are you taking care of them? Because if you are, then maybe we could talk about it. But if you're not, then shut up. Please shut up. So you said it drives, yeah, many people away to from their dreams, to give up on their dreams. Yeah. Also, you have children before you have settled financially or emotionally. Exactly. And that's so important, because that kind of stuff is going to affect the lives that your kids have. Um, your relatives do that. So yeah, same opinion. I'm in the same in some places education is expensive, so expensive. Oh god, so expensive. Um so it's better to have a stable career before having a family. Exactly. You're like, I can't take care of a succulent. Why would I decide to have kids? Poor kids. Yes, you want kids, but the career right now is on. Yeah, you don't want to torture the new little human. Exactly. I'm like, I don't want to torture the human. And that's the other thing that people really need to understand when they talk to me and you're like, "Oh, kids are a blessing, blah blah blah." I'm like, "So, if kids are a blessing, I want to treat them as they are a blessing." And the last thing I feel that needs to happen to any woman or any person, period, is for them to have a child that they don't want. The last thing I want is to feel like I have to force myself to love and cherish and take care of a baby that I didn't want. And I know that there are people who women who say they don't want the kid, and they're sad about it, and then eventually the baby comes and they're like, "Oh, I'm so happy." And I don't know, because I haven't had the experience, but I don't know if they've just like convinced themselves to be happy because that's what they're supposed to be, or if they really truly do eventually become happy, or if it's sometimes, just case by case. But I don't want to put myself in a position to where I could potentially be emotionally hurting my child, especially with all the trauma that I've already experienced from my mother, that I'm overcoming and learning how to be better and stuff like that. I just don't want to do that. So, those who are always insisting have the least appreciation for kids. Probably so. The babies are souls too and innocent. Yes, they are. So, and it's just kind of one of those things. I don't know if that comment was in relation to me talking about the abortion aspect, but yeah, it's, I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where I don't ever judge a woman for getting an abortion, because I don't know their story. I don't know their perspective, the pain that they're going through. Like, I absolutely hate abortion and it hurts my heart, but I never judge a woman for it. Like, even someone I know has gotten two abortions. I don't love them any less. It's just kind of like, I don't like it. I won't do it. That's me. You do what you do. I mean, of course, there's the law and all that crap. Um, but anyway, the last point I wanted to talk about, um, you're on the same page as you. I want everyone to have a safe choice. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that's like upsetting is the safety of the choice. With it being ruled out as, being becoming an illegal thing, to me, it's just like, well, we've already been down this road before with it being illegal and women finding backdoor ways to get it that end up being more dangerous, or it kind of reminds me of even the prohibition. We ruled out alcohol, people still found a way to bootleg it. It's just like, I don't know. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. Um, I'd rather women have a safe way to do it. Um, let's see. The last talking point, if this is even a talking point, hold on. Oh, this is the last point that I wanted to talk about because it was mentioned earlier in the series, but I didn't get the page. Is people should always reciprocate, right? That is a sentence. And earlier in the book, when they were out or whatever, Yenjuan had bought something for everyone as a thank you to helping take care of Xiaoqi. And he said thank you specifically so that everyone could know that they didn't have to pay him back, that they didn't have to reciprocate the kindness. And I wanted to talk about this because it was mentioned, like I said, in this page where something nice was done. And there was like this feeling or obligation of, okay, I need to reciprocate the kindness. And I have a problem with this mindset. Not in the book. Like, I'm not saying I have a problem with it being in the book, but I have a problem with the thought that when people do nice things for you, you need to reciprocate. I'm not saying that you shouldn't reciprocate, but the idea that you need to reciprocate to me is the problem. Because when people are doing something for you, it should be because they want to. It should be because it's out of the kindness of their heart. This is something that they wanted to do for you. And whether you pay them back or not does not change the fact that this is what they wanted to do for you. And so feeling like if someone does something for you that you are obligated, like you need to find a way to pay them back, is troubling to me because it feels again like an obligation rather than something that you want to do. And there are going to be times where people do something for you and you can't pay them back. Or if you can't pay them back the same way. So if I'm trying to think of a good example. You know what? I'm not even going to try to think of a good example. I'm just going to say that when it comes to repaying kindness, sometimes the best way to repay kindness is simply by saying thank you. Or it's simply by being there. It's simply by spending time with that person. Like you never know what an individual considers as repayment for kindness. It's not about, oh, if I gave you $100, then one of these days when I turn around and need money, I'm going to need you to give me $100 as well. It could be, oh, they gave you $100 because you needed it. And then another day, that same person who gave you $100, maybe they're feeling down at the dumps because they got dumped. And what they need from you is to go buy them their favorite ice cream and sit with them and watch movies and cry and vent about it all day long. Maybe that's the reciprocation. Not necessarily thinking, okay, let me keep a tally. This person gave me $100, so I need to make sure that later down the line, I need to do something in order to pay back that kindness. And so that was just something in this series that was just kind of like, I hate that there are people that are focusing so much on something like that because it's almost like a feeling of I need to make sure I pay this person back to keep them around, to make sure that they don't leave, to make sure that they stay, to make sure that they'll want to stay because they're giving and receiving. when relationships and friendships shouldn't really have to operate that way. It should just be you guys are friends and you're there when you need each other. And if friend A can't be there, then they should have a friend B that they can go to because one person cannot be everything and do everything for you. So you have to have more than one person that you can rely on. So you said sometimes accepting gifts is yes. Sometimes simply accepting the gift is all they want, and that's all they need as reciprocation. They showed love by giving the gift. The reciprocation is the love in which you express your gratitude and say thank you. The end of the story. You're like, enough. It's not a check balance. Exactly. So that was the last point that I wanted to talk about in this series. Um, I mean, in volume one. Overall, I am liking it, especially volume two. It's getting into a little bit of some heavier stuff, and it's quite interesting. I think I still prefer things that are in ancient times. That's just me, and I know several other people, but I don't regret reading this. On another note, though, it is kind of like, I don't know, because after this, I know what I'm reading, and that is not in ancient Chinese time. So I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? I prefer to be in ancient China. You said, I adore giving gifts and making people happy. I hate gifts. Yes. And that's another thing to consider is everyone has different love languages. Me personally, my most actually, I need to take the test again. I take it annually because things change. Um, I love gifts, but my first most important thing is quality time. That may not be the case anymore, but I'm speaking from the last time I took the test. So it's like, okay, if I did something for you, I don't need you to go out and get me a gift. Spend time with me. Like, let's go to the movies or something. I don't know. Let's go to the park and talk and chat and hang out, and that'll be fine by me, you know. You said, is the Chinese version just one volume? No clue, but probably. It's probably just one volume. Just because clearly Seven Seas has a habit, and maybe it's not just Seven Seas, but has a habit of making things that are shorter in volume in Chinese, much longer in volume in English. So, here is volume two. Yeah, you have to make sure what you do what other people like. Shocking. So here is volume two with everybody here. And I'm going to go ahead and read the summary. And then there are a couple of announcements or questions that I have. I forgot to jot these things down to make sure they were put together nicely. So excuse me for my ramble bamble after we read the summary for volume two. So it says, Fives Company. Zhang Yuan's luxury villa has become a haven for his found family of out and proud gay men. Yet, while his personal life may be thriving, Zhang Yuan's writing career is stuck in limbo, with his novel facing rejection after painful rejection. To make matters worse, Zhang Yuan is keeping a secret from his new boyfriend, Huo Chan. Yet he's not the only one with something to hide. As Huo Chan, Zheng Weizi, Yan Jun, Chen Hong, and Chang Jingqing navigate their issues surrounding love, family, money, and career, their secrets begin to unravel. When trust is fragile and the stakes are higher than ever, can home withstand being where the heart is? So that is volume two. Very exciting. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are ready for it. It's coming to YouTube soon. We've already started it on Patreon. And I think we've covered what, like 6 chapters? Yeah. So, moving on to things outside of Riverbay Road, because we're done with that now. I want to tell you guys what is the first book we're reading in December, since we're moving faster than I anticipated. Um, this book is definitely going to be finished. Let's see, we're on November the 16th. Yes, this book is definitely going to be finished before November is over, which means there would be a month with me not reading anything, but that's not going to be the case. You said, LOL, I want a betting poll. So I have looked at you guys' suggestions on YouTube and on Patreon, and it seems the most recommended novel is another Fei Tianyi Xiang, and that is Astrolabe Rebirth, which, if I'm not mistaken, is based in modern times or in the future. I don't remember. So we'll have another modern one. But I'm not gonna lie, I read the first two paragraphs on the first page and I was like, okay, this sounds really interesting. So I'm actually a little bit excited about that one. Anyway, that is what we'll be reading in December for the first half of December. I'm not sure about the second half yet, but I'm gonna find something that's in ancient times because I need to go back into the old days. Um, so that's what that is. Just to give you guys a little bit of an update on things that will be happening next year. Um, I had given you guys the schedule for 2026, and then I told you guys all the things that were under consideration. Well, I decided to do a poll on Patreon only to give them first pick. What I want to do is always have something I am reading on the side while reading the main story for you guys. So, of course, like right now, I'm reading Riverbay. I've been reading other things while also reading Scum Villain on the side. And Patreon only will get that during the month of December. Well, while we're reading Ballad of Sword and Wine, however long that takes, and How to Survive as a Villain, however long that takes, we have decided on what will be read on the side for the new year starting out, and that is actually going to be copper coins. So I don't know if you guys know much about copper coins, but one thing I will say is it is based in ancient times. Not that that necessarily matters, but the author is Musuli. I believe it is only 3 volumes. Yes, it's 3 volumes. So I'll be reading that on the side first. And the next time I do a poll, it'll probably be on YouTube. I just wanted to give Patreon first pick because, well, they're paying me. So I was like, here, you guys get special picks. He said, give me my wigs, lol. I'm more on ancient times, said, but this is a change of pace for me and a good change. Absolutely. You have to make sure you do what the other. Oh, why is it flipped? Okay. Copper coins. OMG. Ew. Reminds me of Wangxian dynamics. Oh, okay. I'm interested in reading it. Yes, I'm very excited. I mean, the monk looks really cute. So I'm excited. And the summary, I had read it and it sounded interesting to me. I don't have it up at the moment, but it sounded very interesting to me. So that's what I'll be reading on the side first. We'll figure out what happens after that. Let's see. Another update, which I feel is actually very, very important because this does affect how things will be going in the future, is in December on the 12th, I have a meeting with my OBGYN to discuss surgery because um I hate my adenomyosis. It's made my life awful this year. And although things have gotten a lot better, it still really sucks. And the birth control didn't work. The natural Chinese medicine, it works some, but not enough. And I'm just like, okay, just take the ovary away. So I have to have that meeting with her and then figure out when the hysterectomy can be scheduled. And I don't know necessarily what that healing process is going to be like. So I just want to let you all know in advance that I'm more than likely getting surgery. And I don't know how that will affect me for I don't know how much time. Listened to some people's experiences where they're fine a couple days later. Some people it takes 2 weeks. Some people it takes 2 weeks to at least feel like okay enough to move around, but it takes months before they feel normal. And it's the depletion of energy, all of that crap and everything. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I can definitely say for those of you who are on Patreon, if it turns out to be something where I'm not able to keep up with the things that I told you I would give to you all, then I will definitely make sure that you all get, I don't know, like discounted or free months or whatever, just because I feel Like, it would be unfair for you to pay 2 or $3 a month for less than what you have been promised. So that is something that I wanted to keep you guys abreast of. You said good luck with surgery. Good luck with that. Been through 2 surgeries, and I know how it's like, though it's for other issues. Oh, well, thank you guys for your encouragement. I'm scared. I ain't even gonna lie because I was really trying to stay away from surgery because I'm like, I don't want things to have to be taken out of me. Again, I don't want kids, so I don't care about that aspect, but I just didn't want to have to undergo surgery. But it's looking like for me to return to feeling like a normal woman again, that's what it's going to have to be because the adenomyosis has completely disrupted my life in ways that are not just physical, but also psychological. And I want to get out of that phase in life, you know? So that's one update. Um, well, I guess that's the second update. What was the other update? Oh, I wasn't gonna share this with you guys, but Imma share it with you guys. Um, you say you're trying to stay away from surgeries and needles as much as you can because it scares you like hell. Yeah, I'm terrified. I'm so terrified. I want to show you guys something that I'm very nervous about showing you, but because of certain conversations that have been had, whether it's in comments or just because of things that we've talked about live before, I want to share this with you. Good luck with your surgery. Thank you. And that is this. This is not my first published book because I've published 2 books before, 2 books of poems and 1 really small book on fasting, whatever. This is my very first ever like official book. Self-published still, but this is my memoir. And it's called Your Voice and Mine: The Quieted Voice That Suddenly Screamed. So, the reason I'm mentioning this is because we have talked a lot before about my personal experiences growing up. Um, and also sometimes finding relief and help in Danme and everything. And I know that there have been several people before who have mentioned having strenuous relationships with their mothers or toxic relationships with their mothers. And so I don't plan on advertising this a lot because this isn't what I'm not a writer for a living, but this is my memoir. And essentially, it is my healing process. Is all it is. A lot of people, they create memoirs and they talk about their childhood or things that have happened in their life in the past, and they're reflecting and how they've grown from that. This is not like that. This memoir is in time. Do I talk a little bit about history? Yes, I do. But this is actually me going through. When I wrote this, I started out at 27. I was writing how I was feeling at 27, the things that I was experiencing at 27, to show you the healing process. Not necessarily, I started at the bottom of the mountain and then I give you my testimony when I'm at the top. I am walking you up the mountain with me to show you the thought process that I go through. And especially when it comes to daughters and how they feel toward their mothers, a lot of times we feel like we don't have the right to have the certain feelings that we have, because it's our mother. You only get one mom or you only get one dad. You should respect your mom. You should care, you should honor your mother and your father. And so we feel like we're not allowed to have the feelings that we have, whether it be feelings of hatred or hurt, confusion, all of those things. And this book is really giving myself first, but also anyone else who dives into it, is giving you permission to feel the feelings that you feel and learn how to process them. And it's kind of like okay, what happens when the person who raised you, you finally find out that they were the deepest source of your deepest wounds, and this is if it helps you, this is the only reason why I'm mentioning it. And I won't mention it ever again because it's not really that important, at least not here on this platform. I will mention it on some of my other platforms. It's not the focus here on this one, but I just wanted to share it with you guys. And I personally think that it is written in a unique way. Like I said, it's not focusing on the past, but going through my emotions in the moment. It's basically journaling, but done in a creative way. Not that you'll literally just be reading my journalings, okay? And it's also done with the use of music and language. So I want to show you really quickly, just so you understand what I say when it's written with music and language, which I do explain that to you, but I'm trying to find a page that has. Okay. This is voice 3. I don't have chapters, they're voices. Voice 3, Haiti Black Night, written while listening to UD by Lin Hai from Chunqing Ling, The Untamed. So I listened to a lot of different songs while creating this story, I mean, this memoir, to help me write, to pull forth feelings that even I was having a hard time processing. And again, as you saw, there is Chinese in this book. Okay. Because this is also something that was helping me in my writing process. So, like here, it says, wow, a daddy. Iganajan Aiwa. That's a man to love me. Is my Chinese perfect? No. But it's me. And it was what helped me get through this. So that's all. You can find it. I'll make sure there's a link in the bio. I mean, the description of this when we're done. But you can find it on Amazon. There is a Kindle version, paperback, and hardcover. It is $8.99 or 15 for paperback or 20 for hardcover. And I wanted to do it that way so that it was cheaper because paperback Danmei is $20. It doesn't need to be that expensive, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say on that. You said, I know 2 women who recently went through a hysterectomy for similar reasons. They did well. Yeah, every woman that I've run across says that it's like the best decision that they ever made. Even if like the first couple of weeks they were like, I regret my decision. Then afterward, they were perfectly fine. You said, congrats on having written and published a book, especially how hard it is. Yes. And I also just want to make it 100% clear that this book was not written to bash my mother in any capacity, or even my father or stepfather, because they are mentioned in this. This is not about bashing either of them. I do not slander them in any kind of way. This is focusing on me. And I have realized that sometimes when you are telling your story, you are inevitably going to tell bits and pieces of other people's story. But I try to keep the focus on myself and telling what happened, how it made me feel, how it affected me. And yes, there are moments where I have anger, but I never slander anyone. So I do just want to put that out there. You said been through something similar with my family. So yeah, it's relatable. Congrats on your book though. Thank you guys. I always said, even for fiction, I'd have playlists to what I wrote rather than playlists for books as people do. Yeah, I did create the playlist and it is listed there for you to like go to that link or what it's called. But if you're on a Kindle, you can, I think you should be able to just click it. Not only that, though, it is accompanied by, um, let me rephrase that. It's not accompanied by the EP, but I used to be a singer songwriter. In the process of me writing this book, I was also creating my final album that where this is talking about like the pain and everything that I've gone through. The album, even though the pain is in there, focuses more on love and how I was rescued by my husband. So there is an album, an EP that goes along with it, which I will put in the description below. I used to love music. I do still love music, but it used to be my life. I was a singer-songwriter, dedicated my life to it. But after I made that EP, I was drained. I was done. I felt like I finally got it all out. And so I released it. I let go of music. I was like, this chapter of my life that has been with me as my coping mechanism for so long is finally done with. So you said congratulations on publishing your book. Thank you so much. So Yeah, I've done a lot of things, you know. I mean, you guys have always seen my ukuleles and stuff, and now I'm painting or whatever. Do not mind that. That is the first wash of something. The details have not been done. But I've moved on in life, you know, so no more of the singing, but all of my music is still available pretty much everywhere. So that was another announcement. I think that was all the announcement I had left. If you guys have questions for me, just in general, you know, I always like to leave a 10 or 15 minutes for questions if anyone has any at the end of live sessions. We can totally chat about some things. Um, I do know in the new year, while you contemplate questions, depending on how things go with the hysterectomy, will determine when the launch date is. But I do want to create another tier on Patreon where instead of going live twice a month, we would go live 4 times a month. But I'm also thinking about starting a blog with you guys there, and it'll be a weekly thing, just something that's more so on the inspirational side. Because while I do know, based on comments that I have seen, that a lot of you get a lot of help. And this channel is something that has been very fruitful for you all as far as your mental health and getting you through your days and everything. I still want to try to do more to encourage you guys. So that is something I'm looking into doing. Just don't know when because, you know, surgery and whatnot. But anyway, I don't see any questions. So I think we are good to go. It has been really fun chatting with you guys. I am working on choosing another date for us to go live sometime in December, just to go live. Not necessarily for any reading or book recaps, but to have fun and go live because I know that people mentioned from our celebration that they would like for me to just go live more for anything. So, still trying to figure that out. I thought about maybe us watching Thousand Autumns together because someone had asked that. Because it is available on YouTube and I'd be able to share my screen that way. Um, but I have to look more into that and just make sure, probably have to do like a private video or an unlisted video and play it and just see if once I finish the video, if it'll allow it to stay up. So I'll try that way and see. And if so, then we can consider to start watching things on this channel together, as long as those things we're watching are on YouTube. So even if it doesn't matter what C drama or anime or anything like that, as long as it's on YouTube, then so that's the plan. Mm, you said, "Ah, you love that." Yes, I am always trying to figure out how to, create more of a community and just to be, a source of encouragement. It was fun today yet again. Yay! I love when you do the little smiley thing with the eyes. Okay, anyway, you've been reading Eternal Silence of Mountains and Rivers. Oh, but translating it for yourself because there is no English translation yet. Oh my God. You're doing the translation? More power to you. So, that takes a lot of work, I know. You said, thanks for keeping me from writing LOL. It was dawdling. You were supposed to be writing while listening. You made it enjoyable. Dwaddle everyone. Well, I'm glad that you all had fun, and Nora is glad that you had fun as well. So, like I said, I am going to look more into streaming um, YouTube videos of C dramas and stuff like that, and see if it works. But you guys can go ahead and start, you know, putting in comments anywhere you want. If there is a C drama that you have found on YouTube, that is the most important part that you want to watch, and we can consider starting to watch stuff together. Um, you said those smiley things came from a game friend. Oh, I see. You got in the habit from there. You were totally working through scenes like Jang Wen was. Yeah, okay. I believe you. So, anyway, that is all. I think I'm going to go find me something to munch on. You just finished binging something. What did you finish binging? Um, I just said I was gonna go, and now I'm asking more questions. Also, Kilua says hi. Kilua was here yesterday in the live, so I figured I'd bring him back today. And he says, hello, my little Killua. Um, you thought you had 20. Oh, you thought it had only 26 episodes, but you were bamboozled. Ha ha ha. Kitty. Oh, Legend of Exorcism. Is that what you were talking about? Legend of Exorcism is really good. I almost feel like I want to watch it again as I get ready to read the books, but then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't because I don't want to watch it again, and maybe that puts a damper on me reading it. Who knows? Anyway, now I'm officially gonna stop talking. Yes, I will. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. If it is nighttime for you, have a good sleep. Be merry, be happy. And if you ever need me, you can always send me an email at themarichan1 at gmail.com. Hold on. That might not be right. Yep, themarichan1 at gmail.com. Oh, The Legend of Zonghai. Yeah, that's 40 episodes. I still need to finish that. I'm on like episode 32 or 33. It's really good. Yeah, not Danmei. Legend of Zonghai is amazing. Xiao Jian he's a superb actor. Superb. He's my second favorite. My first favorite would be Zhang Zhuoyun. So, anyway, it's on your drama list. You should watch it. Okay. Not fully on YouTube. Also binged League of Noblemen. That one's a dame, right? No, that one's a bromance. Or was it written as a dame and then shown as a bromance? I don't remember. But I think that one is. You said Xiao Zhan is your fave. Yeah. So he's my second fave. Zhang Guoyun is my first fave guy actor. Because I have a favorite female actor, female Chinese actor, that is. I don't think I have a favorite American. I'm trying to find my list. One second. Here it is. My favorite female Chinese actor is Bai Lu and Wang Yuan. Yeah, bromance. Okay. You said I was entertaining friends with clips of totally how bros react. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I may have to look into that one. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is my last goodbye. No more Irish goodbyes. You love Bailu? I know, she's amazing. She was great in Arsenal Academy. Perfection. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. For real. This time, I am pushing end stream. No one say anything that makes me stay here, okay? No one say anything that makes me stay. Pushing the end button right now. I'm so awful. Okay. You say it was enjoyable. Bye. I'm pushing the end button for real this time. Bye, you guys. Okay. Not yet or end. It definitely end.